Chapter 1092. At this moment, only the rustling of the lotus leaves in the lotus pond could be heard in the inner palace of the radiant Moon Palace. The Moon Empress felt that when Lin Yuan handed over the poisoned spirit peony, it was like a child who had picked up something good and was happily handing it to his parents. After being startled for a moment, the Moon Empress involuntarily revealed the same smile on Lin Yuan's face. However, when the Moon Empress took the spirit paper peony from Lin Yuan's hand and activated the flower bud to let it release spirit chi, the Moon Empress' eyes widened. The Moon Empress immediately revealed a horrified expression that she had not seen for decades. The Moon Empress' other hand suddenly clenched tightly. The change in the Moon Empress' aura immediately attracted Cold Moon and Black Moon's attention. When Cold Moon and Mystic Moon saw the Moon Empress' expression, they looked at Lin Yuan as though they were looking at a monster. Based on the Moon Empress' expression, Cold Moon and Mystic Moon knew that the spirit chi that Lin Yuan had concocted was indeed superior to the glass-type Emperor spirit containing jade. The Moon Empress, who had a shocked expression on her face, suddenly had a rather strange feeling. Thinking back to the time when he had the idea of accepting a disciple, he had set a threshold. Lin Yuan was the only one who met the requirements and became a Class 2 Creation Master during his first Creation Master exam. After understanding Lin Yuan's background and character, the Moon Empress treated him as her disciple and loved him. Back then, the Moon Empress still remembered that Lin Yuan had said that the most important thing between a master and disciple was the relationship. Lin Yuan's words touched the Moon Empress and made her recall the old thing who had taught her. As they continued to interact, the relationship between the Moon Empress and Lin Yuan deepened. Even though they weren't related by blood, the bond that was passed down from generation to generation made the two of them even closer. The Moon Empress had always wanted to be a good master to pave the way for Lin Yuan and to give the best to him. Let Lin Yuan have a happy life. He didn't expect his disciple to help him so much in the end. Not long ago, the Moon Empress had just broken through that boundary, and that breakthrough could be said to be a narrow escape from death. After breaking through that boundary, even with the Moon Empress temperament, she didn't dare to take another step forward. However, with such pure spirit chi, the Moon Empress immediately saw hope that she could improve further. This hope did not require the Moon Empress to bear any risk. However, if he wanted the Moon Empress to progress further, the spirit chi in the refined spirit peony was obviously insufficient. At the same time, the Moon Empress had also contracted many phases, and several of them had extremely intense reactions to pure spirit chi. Even if the Moon Empress didn't use the pure spirit chi to evolve, she could just give it to the phase that had a huge reaction to the pure spirit chi. It could also allow his phase genetic model to evolve again and improve their strength. The Moon Empress felt that her strength would increase by at least 30%. At that moment, the little rabbit, who hid its carrot when it saw Lin Yuan, scuttled onto the table and used its nose to sniff the spirit-holding peony's bud. At that moment, the little rabbit's gaze toward Lin Yuan wasn't as aggrieved as before. Zishi felt that this guy who had eaten half of his carrot was no longer a nuisance, but a good person. Lin Yuan did not know that the Rabbit Emperor's good guy card had been attached to him. The Moon Empress' heart stirred as she looked at Zishi, who was smelling the spirit peony's bud. He had broken through to that realm before Zishi, but Zishi had been stuck at the same spot, unable to advance. With such pure spirit chi, Zishi should no longer be stuck at the same spot. However, for Zishi to rely on pure spirit chi to safely reach that realm, the pure spirit chi in these 5 flower buds was definitely not enough. There was a lot of pure spirit energy in the 5 flower buds of the Nightmare Spirit Peony. The pure spirit energy in each flower bud was comparable to the glass-type Emperor spirit containing jade in the brocade box. However, the Moon Empress really couldn't open her mouth to ask for pure spirit chi from her disciple. At that moment, the Moon Empress heard Lin Yuan's voice. "Master, this is only the first stalk of Soul Hermetic Peony. In the future, I will give you more soul hermetic peonies that have absorbed pure spiritual energy. As for the remaining 9 stalks of nightmare peony, I will divide them into cuttings. After that, I will provide you with 20 stalks of nightmare peony with 5 flower buds every week. At that time, whether you use these nightmare spirit peony for yourself or use them like pollen, it's all up to you. When the Moon Empress heard Lin Yuan's words, she looked shocked again. The Moon Empress felt that in this short hour, she was more shocked than she had been in the past 10 years. This meant that she would be able to obtain 100 nightmare spirit peony flower buds every week. If he had so much pure spirit chi, then he wouldn't need to think about how to conserve it. She would just use it directly. In a few months, the pure spirit chi would be enough for her to take a big step forward. It would also allow Zixi and her other fays to undergo a complete transformation. The Moon Empress felt that Lin Yuan had given her a fated opportunity today. This fated opportunity would allow her to reduce her hard work by at least 30 years. The feeling of being given resources by her disciple was very wonderful and also very warm to the Moon Empress. It suddenly gave the Moon Empress a feeling that she could also rely on someone. When this feeling appeared, the Moon Empress felt a little helpless. Even someone as powerful as the Moon Empress couldn't quickly calm down this feeling that appeared for the first time in her life. At the same time, the Moon Empress also understood what Lin Yuan meant by use it like pollen. She wasn't the only one who needed pure spirit chi. He was a Class 5 creation master and could concoct pure spirit chi on his own. Those old fellows who weren't creation masters wouldn't be able to do it. Only God knew how desperate those old guys were for pure spiritual energy. The pure spirit chi that Lin Yuan had provided to him was simply too important. After Lin Yuan finished speaking, he handed a brocade box of astrologer Zhi Tan's pollen to the Moon Empress. Master, the second wave of pollen has matured. With 4 or 5 more boxes of pollen, Wang Fuxiang's bad luck will be completely dispelled. The Moon Empress nodded in response. This time, he had brought astrologer Zhi Tan's pollen over, and the bamboo monarch had completely regarded him as a benefactor. He didn't even know how to thank himself. It could be said that a portion of astrologer Zhi Tan's pollen had been exchanged for a huge favor from bamboo monarch. In order to return the favor, the bamboo monarch did not hesitate to take out a treasure like the golden silk emperor bamboo. However, as the second and third boxes of astrologer Zhi Tan's pollen were delivered to the purple bamboo garden, Zhi Tan's pollen was sent to the purple bamboo garden. The bamboo monarch owed him a favor, and he would never be able to repay it. A favor from an eminence, especially a Class 5 creation master, was hard to come by. As a fellow eminence and a Class 5 creation master, the Moon Empress was naturally very clear about this. End of this chapter. Chapter 1093. Soon, the Moon Empress regained her composure from the shock of the pure spirit chi. After calming down, the Moon Empress pondered for a moment and knew that Lin Yuan wasn't able to concoct such pure spirit chi because he was a Class 5 creation master. If he wanted to become a Class 5 creation master, he would need to carve out a path that belonged to him. This path was definitely not going to be easy. Lin Yuan must be relying on a sacred source life form or a certain fey to be able to produce such pure spirit chi. This was her disciple's trump card, and the Moon Empress would not inquire too much about it. In the Moon Empress' opinion, with this trump card, Lin Yuan would be able to take over her position once he matured. When that time came, he would be able to enjoy his retirement in the glorious land like the previous 13 majesties. When the Moon Empress saw Lin Yuan standing in front of her, she once again felt that she was somewhat unqualified as a master. The Moon Empress had been closely observing Lin Yuan's footsteps, but it turned out that her observation was not meticulous enough. Unknowingly, his disciple had already gone further than he had imagined. The Moon Empress stood up and gently held Lin Yuan's hand before pulling him toward her breeding room. The Moon Empress was going to have a question-and-answer session with him before he went for lunch. He wanted to see if Lin Yuan had any knowledge that he wanted to grasp or questions that he did not understand. When they reached the breeding room, the Moon Empress recalled that the Abyss world was about to be revealed to the public. Disciple, do you have any preparations for the exploration of the Abyss world? Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not hide anything. He immediately formed a faction with Zhong Zhe, Gu Lang, Li Xian, Long Tao, Sun Ningxian, Gao Feng, Lu Jia, and the others. He told his master, the Moon Empress, that he was preparing to explore the Abyss world. When the Moon Empress heard that it was Long Tao's idea and that she had instigated it, she was stunned. She could not help but discover Lin Yuan's interpersonal skills and leadership skills, which he had never shown in front of her. In the Moon Empress' opinion, interpersonal skills and leadership skills were essential qualities for a Radiance envoy. She didn't need to teach Lin Yuan these two qualities as he had already grasped them. Moreover, Lin Yuan, Gu Lang, Zhong Zhe, Lu Jia, and Gao Feng were all disciples of Her Holiness. They were all popular candidates for the Radiance envoy position. Even Long Tao might become a member of the Radiant Light Knights. These people had banded together in advance. With common interests, they would definitely be able to support each other in the assessment. This was a good thing for the Moon Empress. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan already had ideas about the exploration of the Abyss and had put them into practice, the Moon Empress did not talk to him about the Abyss anymore. The exploration of the Abyss world was still in its initial stages. Lin Yuan would learn some secrets during his exploration of the Abyss, so there was no need to tell him now. Thinking that Lin Yuan was about to explore the dangerous Abyss, the Moon Empress' hand trembled. A cage made of dark purple metal that was 1 cubic meter in size appeared on the floor of the breeding room. A shadow was trapped in the iron cage. The shadow was struggling and roaring in the cage. However, when Shadow saw the Moon Empress, he immediately curled up in a corner of the cage while shivering. He was like a pitiful wretch who had been tortured countless times in fear. Upon sensing the faint aura and aura of life in the shadow, Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius True Data to investigate the shadow in the cage. Upon seeing Lin Yuan looking at the dark purple metal cage, the Moon Empress said, "That's right. This is a level 11 8 tribulation dimensional creature, Void Shadow Fiend." Just as the Moon Empress was explaining to Lin Yuan found out about the Void Shadow Fiend's true data. Alien beast name, Void Shadow Fiend, life form, dimensional life form, alien beast grade, level 11 8 tribulation talent specialty frowny face fleeing shadow / slaughter shadow. Usually, it can hide its body in the shadow of something. After entering the fleeing shadow state, only targets that are 2 lifeforms higher than it can sense it. During the attack, it can attack other targets' shadows. The targets can be defined as living individuals and inanimate individuals. After the target's shadow is attacked, the injuries will be fed back to the main body. Upon seeing the Void Shadow Fiend's true data, Lin Yuan's pupils constricted. This was because Lin Yuan had never imagined that the one imprisoned in this iron cage was actually a rank 11, 8 tribulation abyssal demon. According to the original classification method for dimensional lifeforms, a level 11 8 tribulation dimensional creature should be classified as level 18. However, such a classification method was too complicated, and it was inconvenient to measure the combat power between dimensional lifeforms and phase. As a result, dimensional lifeforms that were equivalent to creation breed phase were all defined as level 11. However, in order to deal with the creation breed phase 8 tribulations, the strength of dimensional lifeforms was also divided according to the stages of the 8 tribulations. The Void Shadow Fiend in front of him, which was hidden in the shadows, was a dimensional life form that was comparable to a Monarch Class 10 creation breed 8th tribulation Fae. In fact, it was common knowledge that demon dimensional lifeforms were often stronger than dimensional lifeforms of the same grade. The Void Shadow Fiend in front of him was likely to be stronger than ordinary Pinnacle Emperor class phase. The water-drinking venom snake vulture that Lin Yuan had encountered previously was a level 11 tribulation dimensional life form. However, unlike this void shadow fiend, the water-drinking venom snake vulture was a blessings believer. However, this level 11-8 tribulation void shadow fiend was just an ordinary dimensional life form. This void shadow fiend was a top-notch assassin or bodyguard due to its talent, fleeing shadow/slaughter shadow. It could hide in the target's shadow to protect the target or assassinate the enemy through the enemy's shadow at any time. After explaining to Lin Yuan what the thing in the cage was, the Moon Empress looked at the Void Shadow Fiend and said, "Void Shadow Fiend, this Empress originally planned to use you as a material to concoct a kind of spirit fluid. Now, this Empress will give you a chance to live. Use your soul as a cardboard and use your faith as ink to write an oath of allegiance to this Empress disciple. Be this Empress disciple's servant. Only by becoming this Empress disciple's servant and obeying this Empress disciple's orders can you live." When the Moon Empress' cold tone entered the Void Shadow Fiend's ears, the shadow shrouding the Void Shadow Fiend trembled. Lin Yuan did not know what his master had done to the Void Shadow Fiend before. However, it was clear that the Void Shadow Fiend was filled with fear. This made Lin Yuan's heart involuntarily have a trace of doubt. Weren't abyssal demons always fearless? Moreover, the Void Shadow Fiend was a level 11-8 tribulation high-ranking demon. Chapter 1094. The Class 11, 8th Disaster Dimensional Life Form, Void Shadow Devil, feared the Moon Empress from the bottom of its heart. However, the Void Shadow Devil, which was trembling in the shadows, emitted a vicious aura. In the eyes of ordinary people, when a dimensional life form was accepted as a believer by an apostle, it was a sign of losing its freedom. However, to dimensional life forms, becoming an apostle's believer was a lifelong goal. If they were fortunate enough to be transformed by the apostle's totem power into a believer, it would be an unparalleled honor for dimensional life forms. Regardless of becoming a believer or being transformed into a believer, they would need to contribute their power of faith to the apostle. If the Void Shadow Devil used its soul as a cardboard and used its faith as ink to write an oath of allegiance to Lin Yuan, with its faith, the Void Shadow Devil would no longer be able to become a believer of another apostle. Not to mention being transformed into a believer by another apostle using totem power. Under such circumstances, the Void Shadow Devil, which was much more intelligent than ordinary people, resisted the fear in its heart and wanted to resist. The vicious aura rising from the Void Shadow Devil's body penetrated the dark purple iron cage, and Lin Yuan felt a familiar aura. This aura was similar to Mystic Moon's aura and the aura from the strange plant seed that Red Thorn had absorbed. However, the Void Shadow Devil's aura was much fainter and only had a trace of it. In comparison, Lin Yuan was sure that this aura was an aura that only a Fae above the creation breed could possess. Lin Yuan's pupils shrank at the thought of this. This meant that the Whale Ocean trade possessed power above the creation breed. Just as the Void Shadow Devil's aura was getting stronger and stronger, and Lin Yuan felt the pressure, a soft snort echoed. After the snort echoed, Lin Yuan wasn't affected at all. He only felt the pressure around him lighten. However, the Void Shadow Devil in the dark purple iron cage let out a mournful scream. Then, the shadow in the iron cage dissipated, and Lin Yuan finally saw the Void Shadow Devil's original body. Lin Yuan saw that the Void Shadow Devil was standing on 2 feet, and its body was only slightly over a meter tall. It had a small body, grayish-purple skin, and long blackish-purple fingernails on both hands. When he saw the sharpness on the fingernails, Lin Yuan felt that the fingernails could easily cut through radium-uranium steel. At this moment, the Nothingness Shadow Demon's aura, which had just risen up, had disappeared without a trace. It seemed extremely sluggish. Streams of purplish-black blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. This was the second time Lin Yuan had seen the Moon Empress make a move. The first time Lin Yuan had seen the Moon Empress make a move was when Cheng Wu had sniped her in the royal capital's outskirts. Back then, his master, the Moon Empress, had only displayed Emperor-class power. However, Emperor-class combat power was simply unimaginable to Lin Yuan at that time. However, Emperor-class combat power was nothing to the current Lin Yuan. Even Lin Yuan could exchange a few blows with an ultimate Emperor realm expert with his Holy Sword mode sword skills. As Lin Yuan continued to grow, Genius was also constantly grasping more knowledge. From the Hidden Moon Pavilion's information, he knew that they had signed an agreement 10 years ago. This agreement stated that the Majesties would not use powers above the Emperor level when fighting against each other. This was probably the reason why his master, the Moon Empress, had only displayed Emperor-class combat power. Now that he had seen the Moon Empress make a move for the second time, Lin Yuan was secretly shocked. With just a snort, the Nothingness Shadow Demon, which had pinnacle Emperor-class combat power, had suffered such serious injuries. At this moment, Lin Yuan was a little confused. Lin Yuan had imagined that his master, the Moon Empress, was powerful, but it was clearly not as powerful as he had imagined. At this moment, Lin Yuan could only sigh in his heart. His master was too powerful. The Moon Empress looked at the Nothingness Shadow Demon with eyes full of killing intent, but her tone was still cold. This Empress gave you a chance. Since you don't know how to appreciate favors, then this Empress, before the Moon Empress could finish speaking, the Nothingness Shadow Demon's knees went soft, and it knelt on the ground with its head lowered. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan immediately felt the surge of faith power from the Nothingness Shadow Demon. Then, the faith power from the Nothingness Shadow Demon was transferred to his body. Lin Yuan had a feeling that if he accepted the Nothingness Shadow Demon's faith power, the life and death of the Void Shadow Demon would be completely in his hands from now on. He could use the faith power of the Void Shadow Fiend to shatter the Void Shadow Fiend's soul that had been imprinted with faith power. Lin Yuan only hesitated for a moment before choosing to accept the Void Shadow Demon's loyalty. The Void Shadow Fiend's power of faith that Lin Yuan accepted was immediately stored in the shrine between his two souls. While he was hesitating when he sensed the power of faith transmitted by the Void Shadow Devil, its eyes kept flickering. This was because the Void Shadow Devil could sense Lin Yuan's control of its power of faith when it entered Lin Yuan's body for the contract. The power of faith was a power that only apostles could grasp and use in the abyss. How could this human be able to control the power of faith? Could it be that this human was an apostle? Lin Yuan and the Moon Empress naturally didn't know what the Void Shadow Demon was thinking. When the Moon Empress saw that the Void Shadow Fiend had used its faith and soul to offer its loyalty to Lin Yuan, she said to Lin Yuan, "Little Yuan, go and open this iron cage made of forbidden violet copper. With this Void Shadow Demon around, your safety will be guaranteed in the future." While speaking, the Moon Empress couldn't help but think of the path protector she had arranged for Lin Yuan. The Moon Empress had chosen the Mother of Bloodbath to be Lin Yuan's path protector because of the Mother of Bloodbath's background and its bloodline. However, the Moon Empress hadn't expected Lin Yuan to grow so quickly. Lin Yuan's rapid growth had rendered the Mother of Bloodbath, which the Moon Empress had arranged for him, useless. The Mother of Bloodbath's Emperor-class combat power was obviously not enough to protect Lin Yuan. Therefore, the Moon Empress had thought of arranging this Void Shadow Demon, which was rare in the abyss, for Lin Yuan. Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan walked forward and opened the cage's door. Immediately after, Lin Yuan saw the Void Shadow Demon kneeling on the ground turn into a shadow and merge with his own shadow. Lin Yuan couldn't feel the Void Shadow Demon's existence at all. Feeling the Void Shadow Demon's powerful concealment ability, Lin Yuan suddenly had a kind of Source-type baptism on the Void Shadow Demon with the Source-type power that the Moon Empress had absorbed from the Law Source Crystal. He planned to nurture another apostle. However, the Source-type power needed to perform the Source-type baptism on the Void Shadow Demon was already different from the Source-type power needed for the Class 5 Shiteng and Class 1 Wendy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1095. In the process of communicating with the princess, he found out that dimensional lifeforms from Class 1 to Class 9 needed 100 units of source power for each Class 9 to undergo the source baptism. However, when a dimensional creature reached level 10, the law origin crystal in its body would transform into a world origin crystal. In order to undergo a source baptism, every minor rank above level 9 would require 1,000 portions of source power. In other words, if he wanted to perform the source baptism on the Void Shadow Fiend, he would need to use 9,900 units of source-type power. It was equivalent to the source-type energy absorbed by the princess from 9,900 Law's origin crystals. Such consumption made Lin Yuan feel as though his balls were starting to ache. Perhaps 9,900 points of source energy would be enough for him to obtain a second sword skill. Lin Yuan decided to have a good talk with the Void Shadow Demon at night and carefully weigh its value before making a decision. When he thought of Mystic Moon, the formless Shadow Demon, and the strange plant seed, he felt a chill run down his spine. Lin Yuan asked his master, the Moon Empress, about the undying seed that Endless Summer had mentioned. Master, is the power above the creation seed the immortal seed? Upon hearing that, the Moon Empress nodded, not surprised that Lin Yuan knew about the immortal seed. The Moon Empress had heard from Mystic Moon that Lin Yuan had a pinnacle myth 3 plant species Fae that had survived the creation calamity and become a creation breed. Since Lin Yuan had asked about the undying seed, which was above the creation seed, the Moon Empress explained it to him. When a mythical creature advances to the world of creation, the world derived from the world of creation will undergo 8 tribulations and fuse with the 8 world of creation earth veins. The world formed from a single law will then be complete. If you want to become immortal, you'll need to fuse your body with a world evolved from a single set of laws, turning your body into an immortal body. After that, you'll have a chance to reach the 9th stage of immortal. After listening to the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan finally understood what the immortal seed was all about. Since that strange plant lifeform seed had been absorbed by Red Thorn, Lin Yuan did not have a physical object to show to his master. He wanted to identify what the seed with the undying aura was. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked the Moon Empress in another way. Master, do the top powers have undying powers? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Moon Empress raised her brows and pondered for a moment. Currently, on the surface, the strongest combat power of the top forces is only at the Emperor stage, but decades ago, the top 3 forces already had peak Emperor stage powerhouses. After so many years, it's not impossible for an Emperor peak ranker to become an undying ranker. Actually, it's not just the top 3. Even if the top 10 announce that they have an undying, I wouldn't be surprised. Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan secretly nodded. In that case, the Whale Ocean trading plant seeds with immortal aura was nothing to be alarmed about. Internal conflicts between forces were often the fiercest. Naturally, all means would be used. Thus, Lin Yuan did not mention the plant seeds again. After 2 hours of question-and-answer session with the Moon Empress, Lin Yuan was suddenly enlightened on many of the questions that he did not understand previously. His horizons had also broadened. Oftentimes, the Moon Empress would only need a few words of guidance to be able to explain things clearly. Seeing that it was about time, the Moon Empress took the initiative to stop the question-and-answer session. Little Yuan, it's almost time for your gathering. Don't let your friends wait too long. In addition, Little Yuan, you have the ability to concoct pure spirit qi. In that case, the Golden Silk Emperor Bamboo will not be of much use to you. When the time comes, you can decide how to use the Golden Silk Emperor Bamboo. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan hurriedly looked at the time and realized that it was already 11 o'clock. There was less than half an hour before the agreed time with Zhong Zhe and the others. Lin Yuan reached out and grabbed his hair. He did not expect to actually forget the time during the question-and-answer session. Actually, Lin Yuan already had his own plans for the Golden Silk Emperor Bamboo. However, Lin Yuan had thought that it would not be good to casually deal with the golden silk emperor bamboo since his master had given it to him. However, with the Moon Empress words, Lin Yuan did not need to have any psychological burden when dealing with the golden silk emperor bamboo. Before leaving, Lin Yuan took out the diamond face storage box that contained information on the 7 pages of war, the Pagoda Cannon, and the Dark Federation. He handed it to the Moon Empress and said, "Master, this is the information that you and I have obtained using a special method. Take a look when you have time." After saying that, Lin Yuan bid farewell to the Moon Empress and left the Leaning Moon Mountain. Through the ethereal jellyfish's ability node, he arrived at the entrance of Copper Crane Alley. After Lin Yuan left, the Moon Empress looked at the diamond face storage box in her hand and wondered what information Lin Yuan had for her. Naturally, the Moon Empress would not ignore the information that Lin Yuan had given her. The Moon Empress immediately took out a portion of the paper materials from the diamond face storage box and frowned after taking a look. The more she looked at the information that Lin Yuan had given her, the more shocked she was. The Moon Empress was not shocked that the Dark Federation had been destroyed by the 7 pages of war. In fact, she had long known what had happened in the Dark Continent. When she had found clues about the Dark Continent in the controlled Class 3 Abyss-dimensional rift, the Imperial Court had immediately sent people to investigate the Dark Federation. It was at that time that the Imperial Court had gathered information about the Dark Federation. However, the information that the Imperial Court had was on a completely different level from the information that Lin Yuan had given her. The Imperial Court's information about the Dark Continent was only a general description of the Dark Continent's situation. However, the information that Lin Yuan had given was a summary and survey of the situation from the most core position of the Dark Seven States. It even involved some of the Dark Seven States' core secrets. Wang Hui had also spied on these secrets. It could be said that the secrets that the Imperial Court had about the Dark Seven States were completely consistent with the secrets of the Dark Seven States in this information. This was the most powerful proof of the authenticity of this information. After receiving the pure spirit qi that Lin Yuan had given her, the Moon Empress had wanted to enter seclusion to strengthen her strength first. However, it now seemed that the information on the Dark Seven States secrets was so detailed that the Moon Empress felt that it was enough to hold another Imperial Court meeting to analyze this information. At that thought, the Moon Empress' expression suddenly became strange. In the past few months, there seemed to have been 3 Imperial Court meetings. However, these 3 Imperial Court meetings had a lot to do with her precious disciple, Lin Yuan. End of this chapter. Chapter 1096. After Lin Yuan arrived at Copper Crane Alley, he immediately felt the charm and texture left behind by years of polishing in Copper Crane Alley. In this early spring, the tongue flowers planted in Bronze Crane Alley were in full bloom. Outside Bronze Crane Alley, there was still a winter atmosphere, but inside Bronze Crane Alley, one could see the beauty of the world. The courtyards in Bronze Crane Alley occupied 300 to 500 square meters, while the large ones occupied 800 to 900 square meters. There were almost no courtyards that occupied more than 1,000 square meters. Among the courtyards of various sizes, each courtyard was designed to form its own scenery. However, Lin Yuan did not slow down while walking in Bronze Crane Alley while admiring the surrounding scenery. Just as Lin Yuan was strolling on the streets of Bronze Crane Alley, the surrounding pedestrians could not help but look at him. Today, Lin Yuan was wearing spirit qi clothes embroidered with ginkgo leaves and inlaid with moonstones as accessories. The light yellow fabric used for the spirit qi clothes was soft, matched with ginkgo leaves and moonstones. It had a bit of the gentleness and tranquility of falling ginkgo leaves under the moonlight. However, the cut of this soft spirit qi clothes was very tough. It caused the toughness and softness to collide on the body, giving off a different sense of youth and liveliness. Wearing it on Lin Yuan, his unique temperament was even more outstanding, and it also made his already young face look even younger. This set of spirit chi clothes had not been made for long, and it had taken Wen Yu a lot of effort to design it. It was also one of the clothes used by the Pinra house. Lin Yuan, who was walking on the road, did not notice that when he walked past, a few passers-by had already picked up their cell phones to secretly take pictures of him. There was also a young lady who looked as juicy as a crab roe bun. She immediately chose to log into Star Web and post the photos she had secretly taken in Star Web space. The young lady immediately edited and added a line of words above Lin Yuan's photo. I met a super handsome young man on the road. Because I'm a lady, I didn't dare to secretly take pictures of his front, so I only took pictures of his back. I took pictures of this young man not only because I wanted his body, but also because I wanted to ask which weaver designed the clothes he's wearing. Is there a brand? I want to buy one for my ex-boyfriend and ask him to get back together. Lin Yuan, who was walking, had unknowingly become a scenery in other people's eyes. As this young lady always shared some photos of handsome guys on the Star Web space, she had a stable group of LSP fans. Lin Yuan's background photo had attracted the attention of these LSP fans in a short while. In the eyes of the ISP fans, the handsome guy in the photo belonged to someone else. But after he pasted and copied the photo, the handsome guy was his. In a short period of time, photos of Lin Yuan's back view were crazily reposted. Among them, there was no lack of LSPs who pursued spirit chi clothing. These LSPs also had a strong interest in the spirit chi clothing that Lin Yuan was wearing. After walking for almost 10 minutes, Lin Yuan looked at Zhong Zai's address on his cell phone and confirmed that he would be able to reach courtyard number 18, where Zhong Zai was. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly heard a familiar voice calling his name behind him. Ha ha ha, Lin Yuan. I always thought I was the last one to arrive. Now that I've met you, it means that at least I'm not late. When Lin Yuan turned around, he saw Gao Feng holding a basket and rushing toward him. When he arrived in front of Lin Yuan, Gao Feng opened the basket in his hand like he was presenting a treasure. Lin Yuan saw 8 thumb-sized grayish-brown fish inside. These small fish looked extremely inconspicuous. At most, there were layers of dark gray heart-shaped patterns on their bodies. After seeing the heart-shaped patterns, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of something. He immediately used Morbius True Data to investigate the 8 small fishes. After the investigation, Lin Yuan could not help but exclaim. It's actually an 8-tailed heart-sound fish. Gao Feng was a little surprised when he heard Lin Yuan's exclamation. The heart-sound fish was abnormally rare, and perhaps even some creation masters had not heard of it. Furthermore, the heart-sound fish looked ordinary and was almost no different from the wild fish in the ditch. Gao Feng did not expect Lin Yuan to recognize the heart-sound fish with just a glance. Lin Yuan's eyes were too sharp. At that moment, Gao Feng recalled Lin Yuan's performance in the civil and martial duels and felt that everything could be explained. Lin Yuan looked at Gao Feng and did not know where Gao Feng had gotten such a good thing like the heart-sound fish. The heart-sound fish was a type of fish fey that could strengthen one's spiritual force and make one's mind more resolute. It was also an ingredient. After eating the heart-sound fish, one's spirit would have a strong resistance against negative temptations. Although he had Morbius' calm mind, the heart-sound fish was useless to him. However, one couldn't deny the rarity and preciousness of the heart-sound fish. When Gao Feng saw that Lin Yuan was looking at him, he laughed heartily. My father mailed these to me through Ostrich Logistics from Wind Mist City. I'm in such a rush because I'm waiting for these 8 heart-sound fish. Each of us will eat one of these 8 heart-sound fish. When I go to the abyss in the future, even if I'm attacked by charm demons, I won't be immediately controlled by them. From Gao Feng's words, Lin Yuan could feel Gao Feng's frankness and sincerity. Because the heart-sound fish was beneficial to everyone, Gao Feng packed it up and brought it over. Gao Feng had taken the 8-tailed heart-sound fish because he wanted to befriend Gu Lang and Zhongzhe. Now that Gao Feng was already Her Majesty's disciple, there was no need for him to please anyone. This meant that everything Gao Feng did was sincere. Upon seeing the smile on Gao Feng's face, Lin Yuan also smiled and said, "We're not late. We're not late. There's still 10 minutes until the appointed time. 10 minutes is enough for us to rush over." When they arrived at Copper Crane Alley's 18th courtyard, Lin Yuan realized that it was not the largest courtyard in Copper Crane Alley. The decorations inside were not as exquisite as the other courtyards. Tangzhou and grapes did not take care of the gourds planted in front of the courtyard very carefully. Some of the old leaves had already fallen to the ground because they had dried up. However, Zhongzhe's courtyard's decorations revealed a warm and leisurely feeling. It was this leisurely feeling that made people not feel the slightest bit restrained when they came to Zhongzhe's courtyard. There was a long gold-threaded jade table in front of the main residence. Gu Lang, Long Tao, Li Xian, and Sun Ningxiang were sitting at the gold-threaded jade table. Upon seeing Lin Yuan and Gao Feng walk in, Gu Lang hurriedly went forward to help Zhongzhe entertain Gao Feng and Lin Yuan. As the courtyard's owner, Zhongzhe was also today's chef. He was cooking the Kitchen Fragrance Palace's 300 dishes non-stop in the kitchen and did not have time to come to the courtyard to entertain the guests. Chapter 1097. Gu Lang and Zhongzhe grew up together, so he naturally took on the responsibility of receiving guests. Previously, when Gu Lang came to Zhongzhe's place, he already understood that even if he couldn't bear to part with the golden silk emperor bamboo, he still wouldn't give up. The golden silk emperor bamboo was no longer its possession, but Lin Yuan's. As Lin Yuan's friend, he should not covet what already belonged to Lin Yuan. However, no matter how much Gu Lang understood, when he saw Lin Yuan's reluctance to part with the golden silk emperor bamboo, his heart was immediately evoked again. Gu Lang suppressed the reluctance in his heart and came in front of Lin Yuan and Gao Feng. "Come. Drink 2 cups of the bamboo wine I brought. This bamboo leaf wine is brewed using over 70 types of bamboo phase. There isn't any complicated craftsmanship, and all that's left is the bamboo branch's original flavor. Because this bamboo wine has only been brewed for a few months, it doesn't have much alcohol content. You won't get drunk no matter how much you drink." Gu Lang was smiling enthusiastically, but Lin Yuan could still see something strange from Gu Lang's expression. Lin Yuan thought to himself, Gu Lang's heart should be suffering right now. Since Lin Yuan had decided to return the golden silk emperor bamboo to its original owner, Gu Lang could continue walking the path of the bamboo monarch. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not need to use the golden silk emperor bamboo to bait Gu Lang. Lin Yuan did not want to use the golden silk emperor bamboo to obtain anything from Gu Lang. Since they had become friends, Lin Yuan generously took out the jade box containing the golden silk emperor bamboo and handed it to Gu Lang. "Yes. Return it to its rightful owner." When Gu Lang saw the jade box in Lin Yuan's hand, he was startled, and reluctance immediately filled his face. When he heard what Lin Yuan said, Gu Lang suddenly felt a lump in his throat and a lump in his throat. A myriad of feelings welled up in his heart. No matter how much he thought about it, Gu Lang never imagined that the uncontracted gold-thread emperor bamboo would return to him. If Gu Lang had obtained such a treasure and Gu Lang looked at him, would he really return it? Moreover, the word return itself was inappropriate. After all, this item belonged to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan said that it was returning the item to its owner, but it was just a way to make it easier for him to accept it. It could be said that Lin Yuan was still considering his own feelings. Gu Lang took a deep look at Lin Yuan as though he wanted to remember everything that Lin Yuan had done for him. Gu Lang had always been an introverted and reserved person. At that moment, he couldn't help but reach out and pat Lin Yuan's shoulder. "Words cannot express my gratitude, my good brother. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled brightly, revealing his white teeth. If I don't give you the golden silk emperor bamboo, not only will you not be able to eat well, even I won't be able to eat well. After saying that, Lin Yuan patted Gu Lang's shoulder and walked to the nephrite jade table, preparing to drink a cup of the bamboo wine that Gu Lang had brought. Just as he picked up the glass and poured the wine, he saw Lu Jia walk out of the kitchen with a tray. Upon seeing Lin Yuan, Lu Jia hurriedly put the plate in his hand on the Hetian jade table and said, "Thank you." Lin Yuan, Zhongzai's cooking standards are not bad. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows. Lin Yuan remembered that Lu Jia kept saying that he wanted to compete with Zhongzai in cooking. Hearing Lu Jia's words, Zhongzai's cooking level should be higher than Lu Jia's. He saw that each plate on the tray was filled with exquisite dishes. The plates were very small, and each person could probably finish the dishes on the plate with one chopstick. Lin Yuan had seen a few of the dishes in the Spirit Food Pavilion, but he hadn't ordered them at that time. It seemed that he would be lucky to taste them all today. After greeting Lin Yuan, Lu Jia returned to the kitchen again. Just as Lu Jia returned to the kitchen, Zhongzai walked out of the kitchen with a tray. Lu Jia and Zhongzai went back and forth a few times before placing a total of 300 plates on the nephrite jade table. At that moment, a gust of wind blew past, and the wind rolled up Lin Yuan's clothes and blew toward Zhongzai, who was about to speak to everyone. Zhongzai immediately smelled that smell that intoxicated his entire soul. This smell could be said to be haunting Zhongzai during this period. Smelling it again made Zhongzai's nose sniff quickly and secretly like a puppy's. When they sat down to eat, Zhongzai, who should have been sitting in the main seat, sat next to Lin Yuan and occupied Lu Jia's seat. Zhongzai's actions made Lu Jia confused. Finally, when he saw that Zhongzai had no intention of getting up, Lu Jia scratched his head and helplessly sat down on the main seat. During the meal, Lin Yuan found that Zhongzai secretly glanced at him from time to time. This discovery made Lin Yuan raise his brows again and again. Lin Yuan subconsciously reached out to touch the corners of his mouth several times, thinking that something was stuck to the corners of his mouth. After drinking a few cups of bamboo wine, everyone discussed about the development and construction of the faction. Those issues that could not be discussed in the group video chat were easily resolved in everyone's offline meal. After all, everyone had previously studied the division of labor and shares. Now, they were just clarifying the responsibilities that everyone needed to perform in the faction's development. At that moment, Long Tao suddenly thought of something and asked Lin Yuan, when will your high-class creation master resources arrive? When we first start to explore the abyss, I think fire element spiritual ingredients should be very easy to obtain. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan immediately knew that Long Tao was afraid of obtaining fire element spiritual ingredients in the early exploration of the abyss. Upon hearing Long Tao's words, Lin Yuan immediately knew that Long Tao was afraid of the fire element spiritual ingredients he had obtained in the early exploration of the abyss. There was no way to accelerate the ripening of the fire attribute spirit materials, causing their medicinal efficacy to decrease. There was still some time before the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift was officially revealed. During this period of time, Lin Yuan's 100 Questions Beast Legion of 50 Pinnacle Class 3 Creation Masters would definitely be nurtured. After Genius possessed 8 interconnected tails, it wouldn't be a problem to nurture another 50 100 Questions Beasts. Therefore, Lin Yuan said, "That's right. Before entering the Abyss world, I can prepare the first month's high-class Creation Master resources in advance. However, I will need you to give me a list of the high-class Creation Master resources that I need. I will then provide the potions, Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls, Bronze/Epic Phase, and other high-class Creation Master resources according to the list." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tao was once again secretly surprised by the number of high-class Creation Master resources that Lin Yuan had. On one hand, he was completely relieved. During the meal, Zhongzai's gaze towards Gu Lang gradually became doubtful. Previously, Gu Lang did not understand why Zhongzai and Lin Yuan had become so close. Now, Zhongzai did not understand why Gu Lang and Lin Yuan had suddenly become so close. During the meal, everyone had completely finalized the cooperation and said that the manpower would soon be ready. Chapter 1098. Only Lu Jia was the most relaxed, as Lin Yuan had already taken all of the portions that he had provided. Halfway through the meal, Zhongzai took the 8-heart-sound fish that Gao Feng had brought and entered the kitchen. He was going to make an after-meal dessert, the honey lotus root fish dew cake, for everyone. Lin Yuan, Lu Jia, Gao Feng, Long Tao, Li Xian, and Sun Ningxiang all opened their stomachs and ate Zhongzai's secret 300 plates without restraint. Even Lu Jia, who was very picky about food, could not find any fault with the 300 plates. Although Lu Jia admitted that Zhongzai's cooking skills were good, it did not mean that he admitted defeat. Lu Jia felt that if he had to compare, the food he cooked also had a taste that Zhongzai could not make. And it was equally delicious. When Zhongzai came out with the 8 bowls of honey lotus root fish dew cake, Lu Jia's cell phone rang. After Lu Jia picked up the phone, his face darkened, and he looked at Lin Yuan and said softly, "Lin Yuan, there's a move over there." Upon hearing Lu Jia's words, Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed. The Zheng family launched the Blood Oath Extreme Duel against Sky City really quickly. The Zheng family head should have just arrived at the royal capital from Indigo Azure City last night. Lin Yuan shook his head at Lu Jia, indicating that he should not talk about this matter now. Lin Yuan shook his head at Lu Jia, indicating that he should not talk about it now. Upon seeing Lin Yuan shake his head at him, Lu Jia forced himself not to tell Lin Yuan what he had heard. Upon seeing Lin Yuan shake his head at him, Lu Jia held back and did not tell Lin Yuan what he had heard. Zhongzai and Gu Lang saw the change in Lu Jia's expression. However, seeing that Lu Jia had no intention of saying, Zhongzai and Gu Lang did not ask any more. Lu Jia's ringing phone was like a small interlude at the dining table. After everyone had eaten their fill, the 300 plates, including the honey lotus root fish dew cake that Zhongzai had just made, were all finished. It could be said that Lin Yuan, Gu Lang, Long Tao, and the others had thoroughly carried out a mission. Before leaving, everyone handed the gifts that they had prepared in advance to Zhongzai. After saying goodbye, Lin Yuan summoned Blackie and pulled Lu Jia to ride on its back toward the return from faraway mansion. Zhongzai did not want to see the gifts that everyone had given him immediately. Instead, he summoned the burning sky centipede and prepared to feed it. However, after being summoned, the burning heaven centipede immediately picked up the brocade pouch that Lin Yuan had given Zhongzai. If it was any other day, Zhongzai would have let the burning sky centipede play with the things that it was so interested in. However, since this item was sent by Lin Yuan, Zhongzai did not let the burning heaven centipede have its way. Instead, he ordered the burning sky roar to bring the brocade box over. After pouring out the contents of the brocade pouch, Zhongzai's body immediately trembled. Zhongzai had never expected that Lin Yuan would give him a heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearl that contained the goddess Gossamer. Even his master, Chef Supreme, would not be able to cultivate this elemental pearl. The sky-burning centipede had the ability to simulate the purity of fire elemental energy that it had come into contact with to purify the fire elemental energy within its body. It was important to note that the elemental pearls that contained the goddess Graupel contained almost 100% pure fire element. With this heavenly maiden-level elemental pearl, the purity of the fire element in the sky-burning ho's body would increase from 96% to 100%. At that time, Zhongzai's main fei, the burning sky centipede, would have a qualitative leap. The burning sky centipede could even rely on the exceptional Fire 8 refinement to directly absorb top-notch exceptional flames. Lin Yuan, who was on Little Black's back, did not know the significance of this heavenly maiden-level elemental pearl to Zhongzhe. If he had known, he would have been happy for Zhongzhe. As for whether the heavenly maiden-level elemental pearl would attract Chef Supreme's attention in Zhongzhe's hands, Lin Yuan might have been worried in the past. But now, there was no need for him to worry at all. His master, the Moon Empress, now had the pure spirit qi that he had given her through the spirit roast peony. In the future, the pure spirit qi in the spirit roast peony would also become a powerful external resource in her hands. This elemental pearl that contained the goddess Graupel could be used as an advertisement in advance for his master in front of Chef Supreme. Just as Zhongzhe placed the heavenly maiden-level elemental pearl into the bell and placed it on the burning sky centipede's neck, Wuxia, who was sitting on Little Black's back, said to Lin Yuan in a deep voice. Wuxia, who was sitting on Little Black's back, spoke to Lin Yuan in a deep voice. Lin Yuan, according to the news from the spirit guards, there is an emperor-class expert among the Zheng family's experts reporting for the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. According to the investigation, this emperor-class expert is the right-hand man of the Miao family's family head, Miao Zhenshan, since he was young. His name is Han Tianhe. Han Tianhe's main fei is at least at the 4 calamities of creation level. Lin Yuan's expression did not change when he heard Lu Jie's words, but his heart was not calm. Lin Yuan did not expect the Miao family to provide an emperor-class expert for the Blood Oath Extreme Battle at this time. In the past, this news would certainly have thrown Lin Yuan into confusion. But now, he had a void shadow devil that was equivalent to a level 10 8 tribulations creation god. As long as the Zheng family didn't ask for the help of an undying's power, he wouldn't be able to escape. As long as the Zheng family did not ask for immortal power, Lin Yuan did not need to worry at all. At that moment, Lu Jia continued to speak. Lin Yuan, why don't I visit the Miao family on the day of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle between the Zheng family and Sky City as the young palatial lord of Yeyang Palace? At that time, the Miao family's experts will all be there to receive me. This way, even if Han Tianhe reported to the spirit guards in advance, he will still have to stay in the Miao family. As he spoke, Lu Jie's brows furrowed even tighter. This situation was not necessarily absolute. If the Miao family did not let Han Tianhe stay in the family and continued to let him help the Zheng family in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, it would not be good. Lin Yuan shook his head when he heard Lu Jie's words. Don't worry, big brother Lu. Now, I hope the Miao family can send a few more emperor-class experts to help the Zheng family in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. Upon seeing Lu Jie's puzzled expression, Lin Yuan lowered his head to look at his shadow. Void Shadow Fiend, this Blood Oath Extreme Battle depends on you. As soon as Lin Yuan's voice fell, a strange, hoarse voice came from the shadow. As you wish, Master. At the same time, the Void Shadow Fiend released its aura. Feeling the aura of the Void Shadow Fiend, Lu Jie knew that he had worried too much. At the thought of Han Tianhe, whose main fei was a level 5 4 calamities of creation monarch, Lin Yuan could not help but look forward to it. After Princess Luo Kun absorbed the world crystal in Han Tianhe's creation breed main battle spirit, would it bring him a new sword technique? After Lu Jie and Lin Yuan returned to the mansion, Lin Yuan immediately let Wen Yu represent Sky City to accept the Zheng family's Blood Oath Extreme Battle. Chapter 1099. The veteran faction, the Zheng family, had launched the Blood Oath Extreme Duel against Sky City. In the eyes of outsiders, this veteran faction did not take Sky City seriously at all. At this time, Sky City must give a strong response to the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. It showed that Sky City was not afraid of the veteran faction, the Zheng family. This was the first time other factions had found trouble with Sky City in front of everyone, and it was also the best time for Sky City to show its claws and teeth. Sky City could only use a strong attitude to fight back against the Zheng family and show enough martial strength during the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. Only then could they deter those jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards who had already or were about to have designs on Sky City. Otherwise, the Do Immortal Garden's outcome was an example. Being a top faction was enough to show the Do Immortal Garden's strength, but it had repeatedly shown weakness under the Miao family's coercion. This caused some veteran factions to have special thoughts about the Do Immortal Garden. Sky City had always shown its creation master resources to the outside world, but a faction that only showed high-class creation master resources without the support of martial strength was not enough to gain a firm foothold. It was just right to use this opportunity to let Sky City gain a firm foothold. In addition, Lin Yuan had immediately let Wen Yu represent Sky City to accept the Blood Oath Extreme Duel to provoke Zheng Kaiyuan. It made Zheng Kaiyuan worry about Sky City's quick response to the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, so he went to seek help from the Miao family. He asked for more experts from the Miao family. The Miao family's Emperor-class experts were like shining world source crystals to him. It was also the easiest way for him to obtain world origin crystals, and he wanted to get a little more at one time. After Wen Yu went to the Spirit Guards to represent Sky City to accept the Zheng family's Blood Oath Extreme Duel, the news quickly spread. It could be said that the Blood Oath Extreme Duel between the Zheng family and Sky City was the first time the royal capital's Extreme Arena opened in the new year. In fact, the Extreme Arena only opened a few times a year. At this time, after 100 years of development, the major factions understood each other and knew each other's strength. Therefore, under the initiative of the weak side to protect themselves, even if there was a conflict of interest between the two factions, the enmity would not go to the Extreme Arena. This was also the main reason why the three veteran factions of Indigo Azure City had been fighting for decades and had endless blood debts with each other, but it had never escalated to the point of a blood oath battle. Under normal circumstances, the Extreme Battle Arena would mostly receive those who had just gained some fame and were eager to expand. Only these new powers that were eager to expand would risk their foundations. The S tournament had reached the final stage, and it was the most lively time in the Radiance Federation. However, a Blood Oath Ultimate battle between a power that wasn't part of the capital and a power that hadn't been ranked yet was definitely big news. It was rare to see a veteran Blood Oath Extreme battle, especially a veteran force like the Zheng family that had been developing for decades and had a strong backing. If it were just the Zheng family, it wouldn't have been enough to divert so much attention from the S tournament. More importantly, this matter also involved Sky Castle. Over the past few months, Sky City had been quiet, and Lin Yuan had not bothered much with the Star Web faction territory. Wen Yu only maintained the operation of Sky City's Star Web private territory according to the foundation laid by Lin Yuan. The cooperation between Sky City, the Blissful Sea Clan, the Do Immortal Garden, and even the major city guards was also carried out in secret without making it public. Even if Sky City's core members didn't do anything, it wouldn't be enough to affect Sky City's ranking in the top 10 faction popularity list for several months. From the moment Sky City's private territory appeared, it had become a topic of discussion. At first, Sky City's image was shabby and poor, but it was later reversed under Lin Yuan's arrangements. After the reversal, Sky City transformed into the faction's interior with hundreds of bronze/epic fays. The bronze/legend Oath Lily of the Valley was placed on the table. This reversal laid the foundation of Sky City's popularity. Subsequently, Sky City would constantly customize a bronze/epic fey according to the willpower rune every day, which also continued the initial popularity of Sky City. In fact, those customers who were lucky enough to customize bronze/epic fays had been contributing to Sky City's popularity. Lin Yuan had always been serious about the enhancement of fays, so whenever he could purify the fay's bloodline, as long as it wasn't troublesome, he would do it a little. He would also choose from 3 exclusive skills when the fey was promoted to bronze. This made nearly 90% of the customers very satisfied with Sky City's service. They spontaneously became Sky City's fanatical fans and promoted Sky City everywhere on Star Web. At the same time, they showed off the fays they had customized in Sky City, giving themselves the double label of being rich and lucky. This made more people join the ranks of the queue to snatch fate letters, making it hard to find one of the 100 fate letters that were distributed every day. Some vendors even hyped up those fate letters that didn't hit the jackpot. A fate letter that didn't hit the jackpot only cost 10,000 radiance dollars to Lin Yuan, and it could easily be sold for a high price of nearly 50,000 radiance dollars. People would also crazily buy them, making fate letters a financial product that changed hands extremely quickly. In addition, Sky City usually wouldn't take back the fate letters that didn't hit the jackpot, so they had the conditions to circulate in the market. It could be said that snatching fate letters from Sky City was a way to make a fortune. Now, Star Web had basically fallen into the craze of everyone snatching fate letters. A large number of people who flocked to Sky City to snatch fate letters firmly pushed Sky City to the first place on the Star Web visitor list, with 3 times the number of visitors higher than the second place. Sky City's popularity from all aspects was constantly fermenting, making Sky City a popular topic on Star Web. Discussions about Sky City could be seen everywhere on Tieba groups. Moreover, Sky City was very down-to-earth and didn't have as many rules as other Star Web private faction territories. Even if many people knew that they couldn't snatch fate letters, they still wanted to go to Sky City's Star Web faction territory to see the scenery. Now that the veteran faction, the Zheng family, was going to have a blood oath duel with Sky City, God knew how many people were worried about Sky City. On the one hand, these people had developed feelings for Sky City for a long time. On the other hand, if Sky City was destroyed by the Zheng family would take over all of Sky City's resources. Given these veteran factions' morals, how could they still sell bronze/epic phase customized according to the willpower rune? By then, there would naturally be no fate letters. End of this chapter. Chapter 1100. This was equivalent to cutting off the source of income for the people who were always fighting for fate letters in Sky City. All of a sudden, threads scolding the Zheng family and threads concerned about the future of Sky City appeared all over the Star Web. Lin Yuan, Lu Jie, and Wen Yu knew nothing about all this. This was because after Wen Yu represented Sky City in accepting the Blood Oath Extreme Duel from the Zheng family and returned to the manor, a meeting regarding the Zheng family's Blood Oath Extreme Duel was held. The meeting was very simple. Lin Yuan assigned Endless Summer and Zhou Luo to participate in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel. At the same time, he allowed the Void Shadow Demon to hide in Zhou Luo's shadow during the Blood Oath Extreme battle. Lin Yuan had originally planned to let the Slaughter Sky Butterfly participate in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, but he gave up on this plan when he thought that danger might appear in the swamp world at any time. In fact, Lin Yuan had not intended to assign Zhou Luo to the stage. He had only asked if anyone wanted to go on stage as a formality. Unexpectedly, Zhou Luo took the initiative to suggest that he wanted to go on stage for some excitement. Lin Yuan couldn't help but feel a little strange. Does Zhou Luo like excitement so much? Lin Yuan agreed to Zhou Luo's request. After Lin Yuan was done, everything returned to normal. All they had to do was wait for the Blood Oath Extreme Battle with the Zheng family at the Extreme Battle Arena the day after tomorrow. Before the meeting ended, Lin Yuan looked at Lu Jie and spoke. "Brother Lu, you don't have to go to the Miao family, but I want you to put some pressure on the Miao family. It's best if this pressure can make the Miao family nervous." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Jie pondered for a moment and understood what he meant. Although Lu Jie was not good at managing his forces, he was definitely not stupid. Presumably, when Lin Yuan had asked Zheng Kaiyuan to join the small circle at the Nix assembly and given him his contact information, he had already started to set up the Zheng family's game of chess. By exerting pressure on the Miao family, it proved that there was no possibility of reconciliation between him and the Miao family. The Miao family, which had fallen into a nervous state, would naturally subconsciously hold on to Lin Yuan's side. If the Miao family wanted to rope in Lin Yuan, they needed Zheng Kaiyuan as a bridge. This was tantamount to giving Zheng Kaiyuan greater influence and voice in the Miao family. The fact that Sky City had accepted the Zheng family's blood oath duel so readily was bound to provoke Zheng Kaiyuan. After he exerted pressure on the Miao family, Zheng Kaiyuan might even be able to ask the Miao family for help. Just the loss of a single emperor-level combatant was enough to make the Miao family suffer greatly. If they lost 2 emperor-level combatants, the Miao clan would have to lay low for at least 20 years before they could stand up again. Lin Yuan, leave it to me. I'll handle this matter immediately. Upon hearing Lu Jie's words, Lin Yuan nodded. Then I'll have to trouble Brother Lu. Not long after Lu Jie left, Lin Yuan was about to call Listen and ask him to send Qin Luan and Qin Yu over. Lin Yuan received a call from Brahma Scissorwing. Upon seeing the caller ID, Lin Yuan raised his brows. Previously, he had exchanged contact information with Fan Hansheng and agreed that Fan Hansheng would represent the Brahma insect cage in handling the Golden Lotus brocade transaction and the Warm Sun funds matters. Logically speaking, it should be Fan Hansheng calling him. However, the one calling him was Fan Jiani, which meant that Fan Hansheng, as a junior, was not in a position to discuss this matter. The only thing that Fan Hansheng could not talk about was the Brahma Spirit Cage's main Fei, the Extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion. Lin Yuan picked up the phone and thought to himself that he had indeed guessed correctly. Lin Yuan heard Brahma's voice on the other end of the line. Lord Lin Yuan, can I bring Bai Yi to visit you? Bai Yi would like to talk to you face to face. He would also like to see the 2 youths with the Extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion Beast tattoo. In addition, we have already prepared all the supplies for you. This time, we will bring them to you together. Hearing Fan Jiani's words, Lin Yuan gladly agreed. The Extreme Night Jade Scorpion was one of the few scorpion species Feis that would raise their offspring to adulthood and live together as a family. This meant that the Extreme Night Jade Scorpion, regardless of whether it was a female scorpion or a male scorpion, would always love their young. This kind of love came from the bloodline, and it grew stronger with the passage of time. The Extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion's feelings for its offspring were similar to the feelings humans had for their offspring. Even if it was a fortuitous encounter, the Extreme Night Jade Scorpion's parents would still place great importance on this matter. Although Qin Luan and Qin Yu did not have much ability now, the 2 of them did indeed possess the Extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion Beast mark. Thus, he wasn't afraid that Bai Yi would look at him. After hanging up the call with Fan Ling, Lin Yuan immediately called Listen. He asked Listen to send Qin Luan and Qin Yu over. After all, Qin Yu had not officially awakened the Extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion Beast mark. In a short while, Listen personally brought Qin Luan and Qin Yu in front of Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan found that Qin Luan had become much stronger than before. Although he was still the same as before, the gloominess in his eyes had completely disappeared. However, Qin Yu had very heavy dark circles under his eyes. Listen should have already started to find someone to tutor Qin Yu's homework. When Qin Yu saw Lin Yuan, he immediately pounced over with eyes full of joy and said, "Big brother, thank you for helping my brother recover. Big brother, thank you for helping my brother recover." Qin Yu spoke sincerely, and his face was full of gratitude as he spoke. Previously, Qin Yu had run out to buy medicine for Qin Luan and found that his brother's body had recovered to normal when he returned. This discovery filled Qin Yu's heart with joy. Although Qin Yu was young, the hardships of life had washed away Qin Yu's knowledge at a very young age. In the past, when Qin Yu saw his brother's body getting worse and worse, he was always afraid that his brother would be gone one day. Therefore, Qin Yu cherished every day with Qin Luan. Qin Luan's body suddenly improved, letting Qin Yu know that he could still rely on his brother in the future. He wouldn't be alone. Qin Yu had always had an obsession, and that was to thank Lin Yuan in person. Even if he could not do anything now, he still had to express his feelings. Lin Yuan reached out to rub Qin Luan's soft hair and looked at Qin Luan, who was wearing a small cotton-padded jacket like a porcelain doll. Lin Yuan squatted down and took out a few candies made of cinnabar sweet osmanthus nectar from the amber button-shaped diamond face storage box and handed them to Qin Yu. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Listen speak. "Young master, during this period of time, I brought Qin Luan to familiarize himself with the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce and brought him into contact with many people. However, I don't know why Qin Yu is very afraid of light, so I didn't let him go out. Instead, I found a few teachers to tutor him. Qin Yu is very smart and eager to learn. His learning progress is very fast. If he goes to the Royal Capital's Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy's second-year examination this year, there should be hope. There is no need to wait until next year." Lin Yuan was a little surprised at Qin Yu's intelligence and eagerness to learn. Generally, it was very difficult for children who had not been exposed to systematic learning from a young age to immerse themselves in learning. End of this chapter. Chapter 1101. Lin Yuan could actually make Qin Yu understand everything very quickly through smart's end of interconnection. But compared to rapid growth, it was more important for the young Qin Yu to explore the world by himself. This was also why he had not let Genius use the interconnected tail on her. Lin Yuan looked up at Qin Luan and realized that Qin Luan was looking at him respectfully, wanting to say something but hesitating. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan said, "Let's go. One of the reasons I called you here is to help Qin Yu awaken the beast mark and get rid of the predicament he's in. On the other hand, I've also found the extreme night jade scorpion. However, there's still a small test to see if you guys can obtain it." After speaking, Lin Yuan brought Qin Luan and Qin Yu to the training room. He then injected the jasmine lily's severed vitality into Qin Yu's body. Very soon, Qin Yu's neck and back had a clear extreme night jade sky scorpion tattoo, just like Qin Luan. The scorpion-shaped beast mark emitted an extremely gloomy and sticky dark aura. When Lin Yuan brought Qin Luan and Qin Yu out of the training room, he found that Wen Yu was helping him receive Fan Jianni and a woman in black armor with braids. The woman was tall and thin. Her face was bright and beautiful, but her expression was cold. She sat on the sofa with her leg-length braids swaying in front of her. The curve at the end of the braid was like a scorpion's tail waiting for an opportunity to strike. What left the deepest impression on Lin Yuan was this woman's eyes. The woman's eyes were only white, just like the blue sky. Her pure white eyes occasionally glowed with misty colors, just like the aurora in the daytime. Just as Brahma Scissor Wing was about to stand up, he heard Bai Yi, who was beside him, let out a soft exclamation. What a dense extreme night jade scorpion aura! Logically speaking, the bloodline of the extreme night jade sky scorpion should be diluted after mating with a human. Why is the aura of the bloodline even richer than that of a pure-blooded one? Before Bai Yi could think further, he heard Brahma Scissor Wing cough beside him. Bai Yi immediately realized that he had been rude, so he quickly stood up and nodded at Lin Yuan. When he looked at Lin Yuan, his eyes were even more intimate than Brahma's wings. In his early years, Bai Yi had used the spirit fluid and law crystals concocted by the Moon Empress to break through to creation breed. Although it wasn't easy for his contractor, the Brahma spirit cage, to obtain it, it was still the Moon Empress' kindness. Bai Yi had always remembered this kindness in his heart. Fei's emotions had always been simple and straightforward, and Bai Yi's gratitude to the Moon Empress was naturally reflected on Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan nodded at Fan Jianni and Bai Yi, he saw two pitch-black scorpions crawling out of Bai Yi's clothes. It climbed all the way to Qin Luan and Qin Yu. Qin Luan was fine facing the little scorpion that had crawled onto his body, but Qin Yu, who was still young and had always been afraid of insects, could not help but turn pale, not daring to move. Seeing this, Fan Jianyi was a bit surprised that the two little fellows that Bai Yi gave birth to were so close to Qin Luan and Qin Yu. At the same time, Bai Yi and Qin Yu's closeness to Qin Luan made Fan Jianyi feel more at ease. This was because as long as the two little fellows didn't dislike it and proved that Qin Luan and Qin Yu had the extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion Beast tattoo, Bai Yi would have no reason to object. In fact, Bai Yi himself wasn't here to object. After confirming that Qin Luan and Qin Yu had the extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion Beast mark on them, Bai Yi didn't object. Bai Yi had already decided to let his two children form a contract with Qin Luan and Qin Yu. Being contracted by a spirit chi professional with the extreme Night Jade Scorpion's beast pattern would be very beneficial to the extreme Night Jade Scorpion's growth. Of course, as a parent, Bai Yi still had to fight for what he should fight for. Bai Yi said to Lin Yuan, "Your Highness, I can let my two children form a contract with your two subordinates. However, I need your subordinates to guarantee the supply of resources for my two children. In addition, I will also provide a batch of resources for my two children every month. I hope your two subordinates can use all the resources I've provided on my two children." Lin Yuan didn't expect things to be settled so easily, so he immediately replied to Bai Ye's condition. Faced with Bai Ye's conditions, he immediately said, "I will provide the two little extreme Night Jade Scorpions daily resources. I remember that if the extreme Night Jade Scorpion wants to grow quickly, it needs the Dark Crystal Beetle's shell. How about this? You will provide the Dark Crystal Beetle, and I will provide 10 crystallized Dark Crystal Beetle shells for each of your two children every month. In addition, I will double the amount of resources that you provide to your children every month and pour it into Qin Luan and Qin Yu to ensure that your two children grow to the maximum." While speaking, Lin Yuan's mind was slightly moved. He didn't expect that after the two little extreme Night Jade Scorpions signed a contract with Qin Luan and Qin Yu, Bai Yi would still need to provide resources to support the two young scorpions. This was equivalent to giving resources to his pocket for free, and he naturally wouldn't want such a good thing. As for the Dark Crystal Beetle, it was similar to the various elemental shellfish. The Dark Crystal Beetle's shell had the same effect as the elemental pearls, except that the Dark Crystal Beetle's shell only contained dark element. The more spirit chi the Dark Crystal Beetle absorbed, the faster it would shed its shell. The higher the concentration of spiritual energy absorbed, the higher the degree of crystallization after shedding the carapace. The Dark Crystal Beetle was a true production-type Fey and was much rarer than the elemental shellfish. However, there must be a Dark Crystal Beetle in the Brahma insect cage. Otherwise, Bai Yi would not have grown to the level of a creation breed. The moment it saw Bai Yi, the Void Shadow Demon in its shadow became vigilant. From this, it could be seen that the Void Shadow Demon considered Bai Yi a powerful enemy. This meant that Bai Yi's strength had already reached the 10th level of the Monarch rank, the 8th tribulation of creation. As expected of the Brahma insect cage's main Fey, it was indeed powerful. When Bai Yi heard Lin Yuan's words, he was startled at first, and then he became greedy. The Buddhist spirit cage had bred many dark crystal beetles for him. However, if the Dark Crystal Beetle wanted to shed its carapace, it would require a lot of Creation Master resources. As a result, the number of Dark Crystal Beetles that could be used was less than half of what it had been when it was first bred. Therefore, it was not difficult for the Brahma insect cage to take out 5 Dark Crystal Beetles. However, wasn't it a little too much for Lin Yuan to provide 10 crystallized Dark Crystal Beetles for each of his children every month? Bai Yi had 2 children and needed 20 crystallized Dark Crystal Beetle carapace every month. That was a total of 20. Even at his current level, he would not be able to consume 20 crystallized Dark Crystal Beetle carapace in a month. It could be said that the resources that Lin Yuan had promised to provide for his 2 children made Bai Yi a little greedy. At the same time, Bai Yi was abnormally happy. With such an investment of resources and 2 contractors with the extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion pattern. In less than 8 years, his 2 children would probably be able to become myth breeds. End of this chapter. Chapter 1102. Bai Yi had already made up his mind to sell everything he had to provide for his 2 children and also to let them obtain more resources in the jungle. It was just that Qin Luan and Qin Yu had yet to comprehend a willpower rune, which made Bai Yi somewhat dissatisfied. At that moment, Bai Yi heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. When your 2 children advance to bronze grade, their quality will be upgraded to legendary grade to ensure that they have the greatest potential. I'll let Qin Luan and Qin Yu comprehend the willpower rune and promote your child to a fantasy breed before elevating it to silver. With Lin Yuan's promise, Bai Yi's last trace of apprehension was dispelled. After discussing with Bai Yi, Lin Yuan asked Qin Luan and Qin Yu to make a promise in front of Bai Yi. Under Bai Yi's witness, Qin Yu, Qin Luan, and the 2 little extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpions signed a contract. The 2 little extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpions had officially become Qin Luan and Qin Yu's phase. After Qin Luan and Qin Yu signed the contract with the 2 little extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpions, the 6 of them were very happy. Bai Yi was happy that his 2 children could obtain abundant resources in the future, and he also found 2 contractors with strong backing. Lin Yuan was happy that Qin Luan and Qin Yu had suitable phase. Now, Qin Luan and Qin Yu could finally increase their strength and be of some use to Sky City after that. Qin Luan and Qin Yu were happy that they were no longer powerless ordinary people and could fight like those combat-class spirit Qi professionals. Only with strength could they repay Lin Yuan, who had changed their fates, and prove their value. At the same time, he wanted to trace his own origins. The happiest of them all was Brahma Scissorwing. Qin Luan and Qin Yu were Lin Yuan's subordinates, and Bai Yi was the main Fei of the Brahma Insect's Cage family master. Bai Yi's 2 children signing a contract with Lin Yuan's 2 subordinates was equivalent to establishing a bond between the Brahma Insect Cage and Lin Yuan. This could definitely be called a dream linkage. If this matter reached the Moon Empress' ears, the Moon Empress would probably not blame the Brahma Insect Cage at all. Instead, they would place more emphasis on the Brahma Worm's Cage in the distribution of resources in the future. Suddenly, Fan Jianyi remembered his other purpose for coming to the return from faraway manor and hurriedly said, "Lord Lin Yuan, this diamond face storage box contains the resources that we agreed to exchange for the golden lotus brocade seedling." After saying that, Brahma Scissor Wing took out the diamond face storage box from his sleeve and handed it to Lin Yuan. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan took the diamond face storage box from Brahma Scissor Wing and checked it. Apart from the 9 young elemental shellfish, there was also a small mountain of law crystals. With such a large number of law origin crystals, Brahma Scissor Wing had probably brought all of the 40,000 law origin crystals he had agreed upon. Lin Yuan said, "The 800 pots of golden lotus brocade for the Brahma Worm's Cage will have to wait for a month before it can slowly materialize. Just give me the law origin crystal when the time comes." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Brahma Linglong hurriedly replied, "That's right. Lord Lin Yuan, our Brahma insect cage isn't in a hurry. I personally cleared out the law origin crystals when I was clearing out the treasury. I wanted to bring them to you first. Once you've prepared the golden lotus brocade stock, you can directly contact Han Sheng to pick it up." Upon hearing Brahma Jianyi's words, Lin Yuan replied with a smile. "Thank you, Brahma Worm's Cage. The golden lotus brocade stalks will be delivered to the Brahma Worm's Cage in a month." With the 40,000 law origin crystals in hand, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that he had spent nearly 10,000 law origin crystals to refine the source power. It was not a waste to transform the class 11-8 calamities of creation dimensional life form, the Void Shadow Fiend, into an apostle. While Lin Yuan and the Brahma Spirit Cage were discussing the deal, Bai Yi's gaze had been on Qin Luan and Qin Yu. After a careful investigation, Bai Yi did not find the reason why Qin Luan and Qin Yu had such a strong extreme Night Jade Sky Scorpion aura. The clueless Bai Yi simply ignored Qin Luan and Qin Yu's situation and turned to instruct his two children. When Brahma Jiani and Bai Yi left the return from faraway mansion, they saw Zhou Luo rushing back before they reached the door. Both of them felt a king-class aura from Zhou Luo. Given Brahma Jiani and Bai Yi's status and strength, they would usually ignore king-class experts. However, when they saw Zhou Luo walk straight into the return from faraway mansion, they nodded and greeted him. When Zhou Luo walked into the mansion and saw Lin Yuan, he hurriedly greeted him and handed over the note in his hand. "Young master, I just finished a meeting and returned to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. Endless Summer asked me to deliver this note to you. I heard from Endless Summer that this note was tied to a messenger pigeon. However, the messenger pigeon rushed straight into the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce and was scared to death by Endless Summer's aura." When Lin Yuan saw that Zhou Luo had returned after leaving the mansion, he knew that something important must have happened. After receiving the note from Zhou Luo, Lin Yuan found that the paper on this note was the same as the previous letter. The previous letter had also been delivered by a messenger pigeon to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. Lin Yuan remembered that the previous letter sent by the messenger pigeon was about the Zheng family. Based on the contents of the letter, Lin Yuan could tell that the writer knew the Zheng family very well and hated the Zheng family at the same time. Lin Yuan opened the letter and found that it was actually written about the Zheng family's blood oath extreme battle against Sky City. There was also detailed information about the Zheng family's family head's contracted fate. It also mentioned that the Miao family would send a pinnacle emperor-class expert to help the Zheng family. Since this letter had been sent by a messenger pigeon, it would probably take at least 3 days for the pigeon to fly from Indigo Azure City to the royal capital. The Zheng family head had only arrived at the royal capital last night. This letter must have been sent immediately when the Zheng family was preparing to issue the blood oath extreme battle against Sky City. This showed the depth of this person's hatred for the Zheng family. However, the situation 3 days ago was different from the current situation. Zheng Kaiyuan had asked the Miao family for the help of the emperor-class expert, Han Tianhe. The person who sent this letter was actually able to know the Zheng family's intention to launch the blood oath extreme battle against Sky City. In that case, he must also have the ability to know what the Zheng family had requested from the Miao family. Previously, when you had guessed that the person who sent the letter through the messenger pigeon was the Zheng family's third young master, Zheng Kaiyan. Because Zheng Kaiyan held a pen with 6 fingers, the distance and tilt of his writing were different from people who held a pen with 5 fingers. At the same time, the strength of the person who wrote was soft, and the strength could not pass through the back of the paper. It could be inferred that the person who wrote must have a weak body. Otherwise, even a healthy woman's pen would be able to engrave the ink into the paper. Lin Yuan did not need to investigate who had sent this letter to Sky City. This was because there was a string of phone numbers at the end of the letter. End of this chapter. Chapter 1103. After reading the letter, he handed it to Wen Yu. Wen Yu said with certainty after reading the letter, "I'm 95% sure that the person who wrote this letter is the Zheng family's third young master. This letter is too eager for quick success. I think third young master Zheng's intention in writing this letter is to express goodwill to Sky City. Let's see if Sky City really has the ability to destroy the Zheng family in exchange for a chance to make a comeback." Lin Yuan was non-committal. If this letter was really written by Zheng Kaiyan, it would be considered good news for Lin Yuan. If Zheng Kaiyan could pledge his loyalty to him, then when the blood oath battle in Sky City won and the Zheng family began to swallow up the Zheng family's resources, he would be able to kill Zheng Kaiyan. He could help Zheng Kaiyan get promoted and let Zheng Kaiyan manage the Zheng family. Not only could this reduce the pressure on the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, but it could also turn the fragmented Zheng family into a complete Zheng family. If Listen were to absorb the Zheng family's resources, he would have to replace all the members of the Zheng family with the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's own people. This would lead to the outflow of talents from the Zheng family who did not have the surname Zheng. However, Zheng Kaiyan's ascension to the position was justified when the Zheng clan was in danger. In the eyes of the other members of the Zheng clan, Zheng Kaiyan was a hero who could save the Zheng clan from its downfall. At that time, most of the members of the Zheng family who did not have the surname Zheng would remain. Indigo Azure City did not have any top factions and was surrounded by the sea. In Lin Yuan's eyes, it was a big fat piece of meat. Of course, he would have to call the number left on the letter to find out what the final decision would be. Lin Yuan took his cell phone and dialed the phone number on the letter. After dialing the number, Lin Yuan spoke first before the other party could speak. "Hello, Zheng Kaiyan." Lin Yuan's preemptive declaration made the person on the other end of the phone silent for a long time. Then, the person on the other end of the phone let out a chuckle and didn't deny his identity. Instead, he openly admitted it. As expected of the city lord of Sky City. You managed to guess my identity with just 2 letters. Upon hearing Zheng Kaiyan say that he was the Sky City lordess, Lin Yuan raised his brows and hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan did not put it down. In less than a minute, Lin Yuan's phone rang again. Lin Yuan picked up the phone and realized that the person who had been talking cheerfully on the other end of the phone now sounded panicked. Lin Yuan didn't like Zheng Kaiyan's attitude. The Zheng family and Sky City were mortal enemies, and the Zheng family was stained with the blood of many people from the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. To Lin Yuan, Zheng Kaiyan was just a chess piece that could help stabilize the chessboard. If a chess piece did not know its place, then no matter what it talked about, it would be redundant. "I want to make a deal with you." Just as Zheng Kaiyan said this, he realized that the phone was hung up again. Hearing the busy tone on the other end of the phone, Zheng Kaiyan gritted his teeth. However, Zheng Kaiyan had no choice but to continue dialing the number. At the same time, Sky City's attitude made Zheng Kaiyan realize that he was not qualified to negotiate a deal. Although Zheng Kaiyan was quite dissatisfied with the Sky Castle's attitude towards him, he knew that the Sky Castle was his only chance to turn things around. Otherwise, there would only be 2 outcomes waiting for him. If the Zheng family won, then he would have to continue living the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Either the Zheng family lost, or he died. Zheng Kaiyan was a smart person. After Lin Yuan had hung up on him twice, he had already adjusted his position. However, as the phone kept ringing, the person on the other end of the line had no intention of picking up. This caused Zheng Kaiyan's forehead to break out in cold sweat. To Zheng Kaiyan, this short period of time felt like a few years. Just when Zheng Kaiyan thought the call was going to hang up automatically and no one was going to answer, Lin Yuan picked up the call. At this moment, Zheng Kaiyan was like a wild beast that had nowhere to go but still wanted to survive. "I beg you to help me." Upon hearing Zheng Kaiyan's words, Lin Yuan replied indifferently, "You're right. To beg others, one must first beg oneself. Whether or not you have value will determine whether or not you can survive, and how much value you create will determine how long you can live. I'll wait for you for half an hour, then call me. I need to know the arrangements of the Zheng family for the Blood Oath duel with Sky City." After speaking, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. Lin Yuan was the first to know that the Zheng family had sought Han Tianhe's help from the Miao family. Those who wished to participate in the Blood Oath Extreme Arena had to report to the Spirit Guards in advance. With Lu Jia around, he would be able to get first-hand information on any changes in the Zheng family's personnel. The news of Han Tianhe helping the Zheng family in the Blood Oath Extreme Duel was Lin Yuan's touchstone for Zheng Kaiyan. Since it was a tool, Lin Yuan naturally did not want it to lie and hide its intentions. Even if this tool was convenient and easy to use. Upon seeing Lin Yuan hang up the phone, Wen Yu, who understood Lin Yuan's intentions from his words, spoke. "Young master, if we can gain Zheng Kaiyan's loyalty after we defeat the Zheng family in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, that's definitely a good thing for Sky City. When I read the Zheng family's biography, Zheng Kaiyan's evaluation was very high. It's just that in large clans, especially large clans like the Zheng clan that are dependent on the Miao clan, the younger generation is often the son's status is higher than the mother's. Therefore, Zheng Kaiyan has been targeted by Miao Ji after he showed his talent. He even broke his legs and body in an accident and is usually bedridden. Occasionally, he can sit in a wheelchair and come out to take a breather. Moreover, the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's function has been set as luxury goods. In this function, the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce and the Zheng family almost completely overlap. At that time, we can let the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce take over the Zheng family's luxury goods online and offline resources and dig the Zheng family into an empty shell. Then, we can use the Zheng family's geographical advantage to let them take the path of shallow sea resource development. Upon hearing Wen Yu's words, Lin Yuan nodded. Wen Yu's thoughts were similar to his, but the Zheng family's final path did not depend on its geographical location. Instead, it depended on whether Zheng Kaiyan would always be useful and what kind of resources he could pour into the Zheng family. Lin Yuan did not want to let everyone know that the Zheng family had become Sky City's subsidiary. He wanted to sneak into the village and not shoot. Lin Yuan intended to let the Zheng family maintain its original posture and quietly work for Sky City behind the scenes. At that time, Zheng Kaiyan's rise would only need to casually find a reason. It did not matter whether the top factions believed that the Zheng family was related to Sky City or not. After all, if the top factions wanted to investigate the relationship between the Zheng family and Sky City, they would always be able to find clues from Sky City's subtle support for the Zheng family. Lin Yuan wanted those emerging and veteran factions, believing that the Zheng family had nothing to do with Sky City. End of this chapter. Chapter 1104. Of course, after the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce had completely absorbed the luxury goods, it was very simple if the Zheng family had no use or created little value. It would be better to just abandon it. He believed that the other two veteran forces in Indigo Azure City would be very interested in the Zheng family's real estate. In less than half an hour, Zheng Kaiyan called again. After picking up the phone, Lin Yuan heard Zheng Kaiyan's anxious voice. There's a change in the situation. I don't know how Zheng Kaiyan got involved with the Moon Empress disciple. Using his relationship with the Moon Empress disciple, Zheng Kaiyan invited an Emperor-class expert from the Miao clan for help. This Emperor-level expert is said to be one of the right-hand men of the Miao family's patriarch, Miao Zhenshan, Han Tianhe. Furthermore, after you accepted the blood oath extreme duel so straightforwardly, Zheng Kaiyan still intends to continue begging the Miao family. Let's see if we can replace an Emperor-class expert with an Emperor-class expert who has 2 peak myth 3 phase with an Emperor-class expert. Upon hearing Zheng Kaiyan's answer, Lin Yuan silently gave Zheng Kaiyan full marks in his heart. This should be all the information that Zheng Kaiyan could find at the moment. He had expected that Sky City would provoke Zheng Kaiyan when it accepted the blood oath polar duel. At the thought of Zheng Kaiyan's worried tone, Lin Yuan said faintly, "Don't worry. The Moon Empress disciple isn't Zheng Kaiyan's friend. Your answer will allow you to live. Now, you just need to stay in the Zheng family's old mansion in Indigo Azure City. After the blood oath extreme duel, I will immediately appear in Indigo Azure City to talk to you. By the way, did you comprehend a willpower rune?" Zheng Kaiyan was originally very worried. Compared to dying immediately, Zheng Kaiyan didn't want to sit in a wheelchair and drag his broken body to live. Zheng Kaiyan's heart tightened when he heard that Zheng Kaiyan had sought help from an Emperor-level powerhouse. But after making the call, the nervousness in Zheng Kaiyan's heart completely disappeared. This was because the person on the other end of the phone was too certain. He was so certain that he didn't care about the news that the Zheng family had obtained an Emperor-level powerhouse from the Miao family. Zheng Kaiyan did not believe that anyone could still pretend to be so calm when facing the life and death of their forces. It seemed like the Zheng family had really hit an iron plate this time. She did not know how her grandfather, who had taught her and placed her in the eye of the storm, would feel when he found out that it was his second brother who had caused the destruction of the Zheng family. But thinking about it, it was impossible for his grandfather to know. This was because during the Blood Oath extreme battle, his grandfather would be the first person from the Zheng family to die. City Lord, I will wait for you in Indigo Azure City in peace. As soon as Zheng Kaiyan finished this sentence, he found that the phone was hung up again. Looking at the few spring swallows flying high in the sky outside the window, Zheng Kaiyan's face revealed a nostalgic expression. Use him to gain his loyalty. Abandon him in exchange for his heart. Kill him to appease the indignation. Zheng Kaiyan had remembered these words since he was very young. This was what his grandfather had taught Zheng Kaiyan, allowing him to know how to control every single chess piece in a game of chess. And now, he was finally going to become a pawn in the hands of Sky City. But no matter what, he was indeed the hero of the Zheng family. Because of this move, the Zheng family could continue to exist. At the same time, Zheng Kaiyan's heart was still faintly excited. Zheng Kaiyan felt that if Sky City's city lord allowed him to live, he would definitely not abandon him like a chess piece. He would definitely be of use. Even if he still had to sit in a wheelchair, he would no longer be useless. Lin Yuan was discussing the future development of Sky City with Wen Yu. The Miao family had fallen into a panic because their request to enter the Abyss world through the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift had been rejected. This request to develop a faction in the Abyss world could be made by any veteran faction. Such an application was just a formality and was equivalent to a report. Even many rising factions with a bit of foundation were qualified to make an application to get a share of the Abyss world. But when it came to the Miao family, this formality was blocked by the spirit guards. This meant that although the spirit guards had not done anything to the Miao family during this period, they were still very dissatisfied with the Miao family. The person Miao Ji had offended was Wang Fuxiang, and the only person the Miao family had offended was Miao Zhua. Now, the spirit guard's retribution had come. For a moment, Miao Zhua, who had just been able to catch his breath, had once again become the target of public criticism. Miao Zhinshan was thinking about this matter and was so worried that he kept pacing in the study. While pacing, Miao Zhinshan's expression kept changing, showing that his heart was not calm. If they were really stuck in the Abyss world, the Miao family would not only become the laughing stock of other factions. They would also go downhill because other factions were able to develop the Abyss world's resources. Just as Miao Zhinshan was about to start the Elder Council, a voice came from the door. Master, young Master Zheng requests an audience. Miao Zhinshan frowned, not understanding why Zheng Kaiyuan was looking for him. However, Miao Zhinshan immediately thought that Miao Zhua had offended the young palace lord because he had offended Lin Yuan first, which had caused the young palace lord to take action. Thus, the root of this matter was still Lin Yuan. The young palace lord of Yeyang Palace was willing to help Lin Yuan because he was very close to Lin Yuan. Zheng Kaiyuan was also on good terms with the Moon Empress disciple, Lin Yuan. Through the Moon Empress disciple, Lin Yuan, they might be able to resolve the Miao family's current predicament. Thus, Miao Zhinshan once again met Zheng Kaiyuan in the study. In the end, Zheng Kaiyuan's first words made it hard for Miao Zhinshan to suppress the dissatisfaction on his face. Miao Zhinshan heard Zheng Kaiyuan say, "Grandfather, I want you to send me another great emperor. This way, the Zheng family and Sky City will have a better chance of winning the Blood Oath extreme battle." Zheng Kaiyuan, who was only thinking about the emperor-class powerhouse, did not notice that Miao Zhinshan's tone had turned cold. Do you think old Han isn't strong enough? I wonder who else in the Miao family is worthy of your attention. Zheng Kaiyuan replied without hesitation. Grandfather, Elder Han and Elder Lu are always together. I heard that Elder Lu is slightly stronger than Elder Han, and his main Fei is a fifth tribulation of creation monarch rank 6. I wonder if Grandpa can ask Elder Lu to replace an emperor-level expert. At this point, Zheng Kaiyuan paused for a moment before speaking again. After the Blood Oath Extreme battle is over, I will immediately go to Lin Yuan's place. Lin Yuan has already invited me to the Spirit Food Pavilion as a guest. Zheng Kaiyuan's words made Miao Zhenshan's eyes flash with cold light. Miao Zhenshan did not expect Zheng Kaiyuan to have the guts to threaten him. Chapter 1105. If the spirit guards had not blocked the opportunity to enter the Abyss world, Miao Zhenshan would not have agreed to Zheng Kaiyuan no matter what. It would be too conspicuous for the Miao family to send 2 Emperor stage experts to help the Zheng family. Even the Miao family's act of openly helping other forces in the Blood Oath Extreme battle would cause discussion and dissatisfaction among the major forces. That would affect the Miao family's influence and reputation. However, the Miao family did need Zheng Kaiyuan's help with something. They wanted to use Zheng Kaiyuan's relationship with Lin Yuan to build a connection with him. Miao Zhenshan took a deep breath and said, "I will inform old Lu, but when you visit the Moon Empress disciple, you can't just bring along your master, Miao Qi. You have to bring Miao He and Miao Zhuo as well. Let Miao Zhuo apologize to the Moon Empress disciple." Upon hearing that, Zheng Kaiyuan's eyes flickered. He knew that his grandfather was trying to create an opportunity for Miao He and Lin Yuan to interact. Mentioning Miao Zhuo was just an excuse. Zheng Kaiyuan felt that if he were in Lin Yuan's shoes, he would not care about Miao Zhuo's apology. However, now that he had borrowed Elder Lu, Zheng Kaiyuan could not say it even if he was unwilling. Zheng Kaiyuan reluctantly agreed and immediately got up to leave. What Zheng Kaiyuan didn't know was that the moment he turned around, Miao Zhenshan no longer looked at his back with annoyance. Instead, a faint killing intent appeared. Almost all the major factions in the Radiance Federation knew that the veteran faction, the Zheng family, had launched a Blood Oath Extreme duel against Sky City. Sun Ningxiang had naturally heard the news too. Unlike Zhong Zhe, Gu Lang, Long Tao, Gao Feng, Li Xian, and the others, Sun Ningxiang knew Lin Yuan's identity as the Sky City Lord. Sun Ningxiang thought to herself as she recalled the rumors between the Miao and Zheng families. The Miao family really brought this upon themselves. Why did they have to take the initiative to kick an immovable iron plate? Sun Ningxiang said to Tao Yao, who was beside her. Tao Yao, go and find out who the Miao family sent to participate in the Blood Oath duel between the Zheng family and Sky City. Before Tao Yao could respond, Sun Ningxiang hurriedly shook her head and corrected herself. Forget it, Peach Demon, there's no need to investigate anymore. Cancel the plan to visit Grandma for the next few days. Let's stay in the capital for a few more days. The day after tomorrow, I'll bring you and Xinghua to the Polar Arena to watch the Blood Oath battle between Sky City and the Zheng family. You can cheer for Sky City. Tao Yao nodded, but there was still a trace of worry on her face. Sky City and Du Immortal Garden had a cooperative relationship. Now that Sky City was suddenly going to engage in a Blood Oath Extreme battle with the Zheng family, the Peach Demons were afraid that Sky City would suffer a loss. Although the Miao family had always looked down on the Zheng family, the Miao family and the Zheng family were in-laws. At this critical moment, the Miao family would most likely help the Zheng family. The Peach Demon was not surprised to hear that her mistress wanted to bring her and Xinghua to cheer on the Sky City. However, the Peach Demon clearly did not understand Sun Ningxiang's true intentions. On one hand, Sun Ningxiang was indeed going to cheer for Lin Yuan. On the other hand, he was also there to watch the downfall of the Zheng family and the Miao family become a joke. After discussing the development of Sky City's Star Web faction territory with Wen Yu, Lin Yuan returned to his room. He did not care about the blood oath battle with the Zheng clan at all. This was because Lin Yuan still had a lot of things to do. The 9 infant elemental shellfish that he had just obtained from Fan Jiani were still waiting for him to induce their mutation. The heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish were Lin Yuan's main source of resources. Lin Yuan currently had 3 scorching elemental shellfish, 3 celestine elemental shellfish, 5 aquamarine elemental shellfish, and 2 thick earth elemental shellfish. Lin Yuan had carefully considered the ratio of the elemental shellfish before distributing them. Now that Lin Yuan had obtained 9 more elemental shellfish, he naturally needed to consider how to distribute the 9 infant elemental shellfish. However, this time, Lin Yuan did not intend to consider it as carefully as the previous time. The previous distribution had already allowed the ratio of the elemental shellfish to meet Lin Yuan's expectations. To put it bluntly, the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls provided by the 13 elemental shellfish were already enough for Lin Yuan. The 9 infant elemental shellfish were just to increase Lin Yuan's production of the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to distribute them evenly, with 2 for each element. As for the remaining infant elemental shellfish, Lin Yuan planned to nurture 1 more aquamarine elemental shellfish. The production of the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls would directly determine Blue Pearl's strength. Compared to hoarding resources, increasing the strength of his phase was more important. Lin Yuan's arrangements in the dimensional world and the increase of the power of faith in his body required Blue Pearl's water of faith. Lin Yuan was now very familiar with inducing the infant elemental shellfish to mutate. Soon enough, Lin Yuan successfully induced the 9 infant elemental shellfish. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan constantly increased the grade and quality of these elemental shellfish. These 9 elemental shellfish that he had just induced to mutate were all upgraded to Bronze/Legend. Now, Lin Yuan had nurtured 22 elemental shellfish of various elements in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Among them, there were 5 scorching elemental shellfish, 5 celestine elemental shellfish, 8 aquamarine elemental shellfish, and 4 thick earth elemental shellfish. When Lin Yuan saw the elemental shellfish constantly absorbing the pure spirit qi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone to produce elemental pearls, he revealed a smile. This time, he would never lack elemental pearls again. Even if there was a problem with the Spirit Lock spatial zone and his elemental pearls were depleted, the 22 heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish of various elements would be enough for Lin Yuan to face most of the problems. Previously, Lin Yuan thought that the 22 elemental shellfish of various elements would allow the Spirit Lock spatial zone spirit qi utilization to reach 95% or above. This also meant that 95% of the spirit qi transformed by the spirit pool through breaking down the energy ores would be immediately consumed. In fact, Lin Yuan wasn't wrong. Now that Gray had hatched from its eggshell, it didn't need to absorb pure spirit qi like before. This meant that the Spirit Lock spatial zone had 1 less spirit qi consumer. After some investigation and calculations, Lin Yuan estimated that the Spirit Lock spatial zone spirit qi utilization rate should be around 80%. The remaining 20% could be distributed to the 5 dark crystal beetles that were about to be delivered by the Brahma insect cage. These dark crystal beetles would also have sufficient spirit qi to absorb. Immediately after, Lin Yuan took out the remaining 519 spirit qi crystals and prepared to continue enhancing his phase. After Genius and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee were enhanced, Lin Yuan could only use the spirit qi crystals to enhance Chimey, Jasmine Lily, Blackie, Purple Cloud, and the Source Sand. End of this chapter. Chapter 1106. Lin Yuan naturally wanted to improve the Source Sand strength first. Lin Yuan let the amber button-shaped source sand on his sleeves turn into a quicksand vortex under his feet. He then threw spirit qi crystals one after another into the quicksand vortex. The source sand strength also constantly increased with the consumption of the spirit chi crystals. When Lin Yuan threw the 209th spirit chi crystal into the quicksand vortex, the source sand successfully upgraded to Diamond I/Fantasy 2. The quicksand vortex in front of Lin Yuan set off a sand flow that intertwined in the air. These sand flows were all formed by the guard sand, which was also the most flexible part of the source sand. Lin Yuan looked over and found that the guard sand had changed greatly. If the guard sand was previously a sand grain with a clearer color, then the current guard sand had turned into nearly transparent crystals. These crystals did not have any color, but they seemed to be able to contain any metal spiritual ingredients. For example, if a metal spirit material was thrown into the guard sand would be able to extract the characteristics of the metal spirit material through the extraction. Although the quicksand vortex did not expand under Lin Yuan's control, the sinking force of the quicksand vortex was 1,000 times stronger than before. The current quicksand vortex could bury an ordinary Diamond X Fei in a matter of minutes. The Diamond I/Fantasy 2 source sand still focused on its control ability. Its attack ability could only be considered a younger brother compared to its control ability. However, if a life form trapped in the sea of sand sank 300 meters underground, it would not be able to easily survive under the huge pressure from all directions. Moreover, the sea of sand still had a killer move that came with exclusive skills. At that moment, the source sand had sent a request to Lin Yuan. It was requesting Lin Yuan to choose an exclusive skill and enhance it. As a special source-type lifeform, the source sand was different from ordinary source-type lifeforms and phase. After the source sand's grade increased, it would not have a new grade. Instead, it needed to choose to enhance any of the metal consume manifestation and gravel spirit acceptance exclusive skills. This time, Lin Yuan still gave up on enhancing the source sand's exclusive skill, gravel spirit acceptance. He chose to give up on enhancing the source sand's metal consume manifestation, which had obtained 2 exclusive skill enhancements after evolving from gold to diamond. One of the 2 opportunities was to increase the metal type that metal consume manifestation could devour. One of the opportunities was to increase the exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, which allowed the metal to transform into a shape. At this point, the source sand's evolution was completed. However, he didn't immediately enhance the other phase. Instead, he continued to issue commands to the source sand. It made the source sand spit out all of the ferromanganese that it had swallowed earlier. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the quicksand vortex continuously produced neatly shaped ferromanganese. As the source sand spat out the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan stored it into a platinum phase storage box in a short moment. Although ferromanganese's metallic characteristics were very suitable for the source sand, as the source sand's grade increased, the opponents it faced would become stronger. The bronze-grade spirit material ferromanganese was becoming less and less useful. Thus, if the source sand continued to consume ferromanganese, it would be a waste of the types of metals that the source sand's exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, could consume. Lin Yuan already had a plan for the source sand to devour after it evolved. Before this, Lin Yuan had already prepared the metal consume manifestation metals that the source sand needed to reach diamond grade. One of them was radium-uranium steel. Radium-uranium steel was a diamond metal, but it had the toughness that even myth-breed phase couldn't easily destroy. In addition to its sturdiness, the radium-uranium steel was also very sharp. When spirit craftsmen were carving some metals, they would often choose polished radium-uranium steel as the head of their carving knives. Therefore, Lin Yuan felt that it was most suitable to use radium-uranium steel to replace the ferromanganese chain sword. Although replacing ferromanganese with radium-uranium steel would cause the source sand's grains to lose their file-like sharpness, the source sand was not as sharp as a knife. However, the hardness of the radium-uranium steel also increased the strength of the gravel, making it more difficult for objects trapped in the sea of sand to break free. As the source sand devoured more types of metals, it could increase the offensive capabilities of the entire sea of sand through the addition of new metals. Lin Yuan took out the platinum red lotus soft gold, which he had asked Listen to collect for more than a month. Although the red lotus soft gold was a platinum metal, it was definitely rarer than a diamond metal. This was because the platinum red lotus soft gold could only be found in class 5-dimensional rifts. It was considered a specialty of class 5-dimensional rifts. In order to help Lin Yuan find these 10 cubic meters of red lotus soft gold, Listen had spent almost all of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's income from selling luxury items. When the red lotus soft gold was held in his hand, it looked like a ball of soft liquid metal with a red halo on it. This liquid metal was between transparent and non-transparent. As the soft red lotus soft gold changed shape, the red halo on the surface would quickly flow. The flowing halo was like a red lotus blooming on the red lotus soft gold. This was how the red lotus soft gold got its name. The red lotus soft gold looked harmless in its soft state, but when the red lotus soft gold was stretched into a thin thread, the red lotus soft gold that was infused with spirit chi was the world's strongest piercing needle. After the source sand devoured the red lotus soft gold through its exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, it could precipitate the thread-like red lotus soft gold everywhere in the sea of sand at any time. The thread-like red lotus soft gold was a killer hidden in the sea of sand when it was infused with spirit chi. In the absence of spiritual energy, the silk-like red lotus soft gold intertwined with each other to form a solid net that could continuously extend. It could cooperate with the sea of sand to attack or restrain. At the same time, the red lotus soft gold also had a strong corrosive and poisonous nature. When living things came into contact with the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold would leave scarlet lotus-like scars on the body. The red lotus scars were basically tiny rashes caused by the red lotus soft gold's toxins on the skin. The red lotus soft gold's toxins would cause the target to lose their rationality in the intense pain and act crazily. The toxins would also stimulate the tear glands, causing the target's eyes to shed tears uncontrollably and cause blurred vision. After the toxins infected the enemy target, it was likely to cause one of them to fall into madness and wantonly attack in the surroundings. When facing multiple enemies, it was the same as having an additional stupid teammate. After the source sand devoured a large amount of radium uranium steel, it also devoured 10 cubic meters of red lotus soft gold. Lin Yuan felt that the sand grains that had obtained a portion of the red lotus soft gold's characteristics would instantly scream in pain if someone with a firm will stepped on it. They would also shed inexplicable tears as though they were crying from fright. End of this chapter. Chapter 1107. Then, Lin Yuan used the last chance to enhance the source sand's exclusive skill. He still chose to enhance metal consume manifestation. However, this time, he chose to let the source sand memorize the shape of a type of metal. Lin Yuan let the source sand transform the red lotus soft gold into a metal thread with a triangular tip. This was the inspiration he got from the heart-penetrating iron line. The red lotus soft gold's thread could perfectly replace the heart-penetrating iron line. In other words, every thread formed by the red lotus soft gold was equivalent to a heart-penetrating iron line. With the red lotus soft gold's thread, the source sand's exclusive skill, sand spirit acceptance, could also accept a type of dimensional life form. Then, Lin Yuan threw all the day and night spirit silver he had into the Flozan vortex and let it devour it. During this period, Lin Yuan had accumulated a lot of day and night spirit silver, which was close to 50 cubic meters. The wings formed by the day and night spirit silver had always been Lin Yuan's main defensive method. After letting the source sand devour 50 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver, he could truly have unlimited wings. In battle, he could let the day and night spirit silver form wings to block in front of him, greatly increasing his defense. At the same time, the unlimited wings would also increase his speed and agility. Lin Yuan had finished dealing with the Source Sand's exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation. As for Sand Spirit Acceptance, not only did Lin Yuan not deal with it, but he also let the Source Sand spit out the heart-penetrating iron line. However, Lin Yuan had no idea what dimensional life form was suitable for the Source Sand to use for Sand Spirit Acceptance. Or rather, he had yet to find a suitable dimensional life form. Lin Yuan would have to work hard to find one in this aspect. Then, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check on the Source Sand's Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye exclusive skill. Fey name, Source Sand, Amber Button, Fey species, Elemental/Sand, Fey grade, Diamond, 1/10, Fey type, Earth, Fey quality, Fantasy Eye exclusive skill Frowny Face Sand Control, increases the contractor's control over the Source Sand and reduces the consumption of spiritual power when controlling the Source Sand. Metal Consume Manifestation, it can absorb a type of metal into the Source Sand, allowing the Source Sand to possess the characteristics of swallowing metal. At the same time, it can quickly condense the metal in the sand, transforming it into a specified form. Radium Uranium Steel/Chain Sword, Day and Night Spirit Silver/Feather, Red Lotus Soft Gold/Triangular Thread, Gravel Spirit Acceptance, the Source Sand can devour a Fey or dimensional life form. The amount of devouring depends on the life form's energy and the complexity of the template. After looking at the Source Sand's attributes, Lin Yuan nodded. After some consideration, Lin Yuan decided to increase Blackie's grade as well. When Xiao Hei's grade increased, the might of his exclusive skill, Spirit Extract Burst, would also increase. At the same time, it would also increase the speed at which his Spirit Chi imprint accumulated Spirit Chi. With the consumption of Spirit Chi crystals, Blackie successfully advanced to the Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye level. Blackie, who had advanced to Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, was nearly 100 meters long. Little Black, who was winding its way up, was filled with the confidence and majesty of a pure-blooded WIRM species Fey. After Blackie reached Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, it discovered that the WIRM species bloodline in its body had changed. The pure WIRM species bloodline seemed to have activated something in it, and there were already faint signs of metamorphosis to a higher level. As Blackie's quality increased, it was very likely that it would be able to awaken the Master Dragon bloodline when it reached Fantasy V. It might even metamorphose into a true Master Dragon Fey when it became a myth breed. At that moment, Lin Yuan could not help but think of Mystic Moon in her true form. Looking at Blackie's 100-meter-long dragon body, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that Blackie and Mystic Moon seemed to be quite compatible. After having this thought, Lin Yuan hurriedly shook his head. What kind of strange thought was this? Could it be that he had awakened the matchmaker attribute? Moreover, it did not seem very good to think about such a problem with his elders. However, if Blackie's body continued to grow at this rate, it would not need to become an immortal. When it became a creation breed, its body would properly surpass Mystic Moon's. It was said that when high-grade dragons mated, they would not choose to transform into human form but into their true form. Lin Yuan, who had a picture in his mind, felt that this seemed a little difficult to deal with. After upgrading Blackie to Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, Lin Yuan had less than 100 Spirit Chi crystals in his hands. After counting, Lin Yuan found that he only had 80 Spirit Chi crystals left. However, Lin Yuan still spent a total of 20 Spirit Chi crystals to upgrade Purple Sky from its original grade to Platinum Eye/Fantasy Eye. After enhancing Purple Sky, Lin Yuan completely stopped enhancing his phase. Lin Yuan was only left with 60 Spirit Chi crystals for emergency use. During the process of enhancing phase, Lin Yuan did not choose to enhance Chimey, not because he did not like it or because it was useless. It was mainly because Chimey had been staying on the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree after devouring the Luan phoenix species bloodline and evolving into a clear sound Luan sparrow. Under the influence of the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree, Chimey's bloodline faintly showed signs of mutation. Lin Yuan planned to wait for Chinese bloodline to completely mutate before enhancing Chinese grade. Lin Yuan, who had improved his phase overall standard, felt that even if he only controlled his phase to fight now, he would still not be able to defeat Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang. However, he would not be at a disadvantage against the younger generation of those top forces. After enhancing his phase, he set up the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Upon seeing the large empty area, Lin Yuan felt that he should bring Genius to pick another 50 questions beasts for Genius to nurture. Since Fatty Orange, which he had enhanced first, occupied half of the cat tree, there should be a few more cat trees in his Spirit Lock spatial zone. A large number of elemental shellfish entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone, increasing the spirit chi utilization rate of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. As such, there was quite a large empty space in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan planned to give this space to the 50 questions beasts and the incoming 100 questions beasts. After doing all this, Lin Yuan stretched his back and thought to himself, I don't think I need to nurture phase for the time being. Lin Yuan, who was wearing a light pine tree, looked at his own shadow. Lin Yuan looked at his shadow for a long time without saying anything. However, the void shadow fiend that Lin Yuan was staring at started to feel uneasy. The void shadow demon hiding in the shadows took the initiative to ask, Master, do you have any instructions? Lin Yuan replied with a chuckle. I don't have any instructions now. However, void shadow fiend, I think the two of us should have a good talk. End of this chapter. Chapter 1108. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Nihility, who had been a little creeped out by Lin Yuan's gaze, trembled for some reason. An indescribable feeling of fear arose in his heart. This fear did not come from the fact that the void shadow fiend was now under Lin Yuan's control and had to listen to his orders. Instead, it was an incomprehensible fear of the unknown. The Moon Empress' decision to give the Void Shadow Devil to Lin Yuan as a servant was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. When the Mother of Bloodbath had failed to protect Lin Yuan outside Indigo Azure City, the Moon Empress had decided to arrange for a powerful life form to protect him. The Void Shadow Devil was not just captured by the Moon Empress from the Abyss world. When the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift opened in the Radiance Federation, it was not open to the public. However, it was not that no one could enter the Abyss world through this level 6 Abyssal Rift. During the period when the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift was sealed, the Majesties frequently entered and exited the Abyss world. The Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift would be made public because the various Majesties had suppressed all lifeforms above the myth breed within a radius of 10,000 miles of the Abyss world that was connected to the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift. Otherwise, given the dangers of the Abyss world, if a large number of the Radiance Federation's members settled in, the Abyss world would be a dangerous place. As long as they encountered a level 11 Abyssal Demon, it would cause a large number of casualties. The Void Shadow Devil had been captured by the Moon Empress during the initial stages of the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift's closure and had stayed by her side for quite some time. When the Void Shadow Fiends first entered the Origin world, they didn't know much about the Origin world. However, the Void Shadow Demon's intelligence was extremely high. Its intelligence was more than twice that of a normal person. Because of this, the Void Shadow Fiend's understanding of new things was extremely fast. Gradually, the Void Shadow Fiend had a good understanding of the situation in the main world. He knew that the living beings of the Origin world relied on spiritual energy to increase their strength. Furthermore, the amount of spirit chi in the air of the Origin world was relatively thin, unlike the dimensional world where every dimensional lifeform's body contained source energy. It was just that the amount was different. The higher the level of a dimensional lifeform, the more source-type power it contained. When the source-type power reached a certain level, it was enough to modify the body of a dimensional life form. Dimensional lifeforms would be fortunate enough to transform into apostles, becoming great creatures that could use the power of faith. This was because the creatures of the origin world relied on spiritual qi to increase their strength, and pure spiritual qi was extremely rare. Therefore, the moment the Void Shadow Demon followed Lin Yuan into the Spirit Lock spatial zone, it was shocked by the spirit qi concentration inside. In that instant, the Void Shadow Demon knew that the youth he had given his soul and faith to wasn't simple at all. This made the Void Shadow Demon recall the obstruction when its power of faith had entered Lin Yuan's body. After recovering from the shock, the Void Shadow Devil's mind was filled with countless thoughts. This feeling of having its life in someone else's hands made the Void Shadow Demon feel uneasy. The demons of the abyss world were filled with violence, lust, deception, and killing. A powerful devil apostle could rule over a territory. The demons that had yet to become believers were just toys in the hands of the devil apostles and could be disposed of at will. It was rumored that the famous succubus apostle Jules in the abyss had a pair of white demonic wings on her back. Jules' power of faith was so strong that it could transform into the origin holy body. The origin holy body could allow the apostle to transform into a human form, breaking away from the image of a demon. However, after transforming into the origin holy body, the apostle would still retain a portion of its original body structure. This portion of the body structure that was retained by the origin holy body was the apostle's most powerful weapon. After transforming into the origin holy body, the succubus apostle Jules looked pure and holy, but her actions were extremely ruthless. Jules loved muscular demons, and whenever the succubus apostle Jules was happy or unhappy, she would always like to kill muscular male demons for fun. Therefore, the concept of a servant's life being taken at will was deeply implanted in the Void Shadow Devil's heart. The Void Shadow Devil was afraid that if Lin Yuan was unhappy or if it answered poorly, it would be judged. Ever since the Void Shadow Devil heard Lin Yuan's question, it had been thinking about how to answer Lin Yuan's question to please him. After pleasing Lin Yuan, it would be able to live more easily as a servant in the future. When Lin Yuan had been enhancing the phase, his gentleness and concern had deeply touched the Void Shadow Devil's heart. Born in the abyss, the Void Shadow Devil had grown up with slaughter, and it had never hoped for anyone to care about it. However, up until now, the Void Shadow Devil had never felt the feeling of being cared for. "Master, there is no need for you to talk to me. Your consciousness is my will. If you have any instructions, just give them to me." While speaking, the Void Shadow Devil had already left Lin Yuan's shadow and knelt in front of him. Its head was lowered, and its attitude was filled with fear and flattery. Lin Yuan raised his brows, not understanding why the Void Shadow Devil would be so respectful to him. In Lin Yuan's opinion, even if the Void Shadow Devil was loyal to him, there was no need for it to be so humble. Lin Yuan asked the Void Shadow Devil casually. "Since you can become a Class 11-8 disaster dimensional life form, you must have lived for many years, right?" The Void Shadow Devil hurriedly replied. "Master, I have experienced the Crimson Moon Streak in the Abyss 1,700 times since I gained sentience." While speaking, the Void Shadow Devil suddenly had a puzzled expression. The Void Shadow Devil felt that it had not only experienced the Crimson Moon Streak 1,700 times. A few years before it was caught, the purple moon that always hung in the sky in the abyss suddenly disappeared. It was as if the purple moon had been sucked away from the sky. It was unknown where the purple moon in the abyss had gone. Without the purple moon, there would no longer be a crimson moon streak in the abyss. The crimson moon streak was the way the abyss kept track of the years. Every crimson moon streak was equivalent to 1.5 years in the main world. It seemed that if the Void Shadow Devil's age was calculated according to the main world's time, it should be around 2,250 years old now. The lifespan of the Abyss demons was extremely long, and the Void Shadow Devil could become a Class 11-8 disaster dimensional life form in just over 2,000 years. Its talent should be considered relatively strong among the dimensional lifeforms. Void Shadow Devil, you have lived for so many years. I believe you should have your own name. The Void Shadow Devil hurriedly replied. Master, I used to live in a territory governed by a horned demon apostle. In the territory, any living being that has not become a believer or a favored believer is not worthy of having a name, so I have never had a name. End of this chapter. Chapter 1109. Lin Yuan secretly sighed at the cruelty of the Abyss world. At the same time, he also knew why the Void Shadow Demon was so respectful and flattering to him. This had a lot to do with the Void Shadow Demon situation in the Abyss world. However, Lin Yuan had a doubt in his heart. The drinking glut snake vulture was only a class 11-1 calamity dimensional life form, but it could be transformed into a favored believer by the swamp world's apostles. The Void Shadow Demon's strength was undoubtedly much stronger than the drinking glut snake vulture. With such strength, the Void Shadow Demon could not even be a believer, right? The Abyss Shadow Demon was now Lin Yuan's servant, so Lin Yuan did not have to worry too much. He could just ask what he wanted to know. Void Shadow Demon, with your strength, you are more than enough to be a favored believer. Why aren't you even a believer? When the Void Shadow Demon heard this, he felt unwell. This was the question that the Void Shadow Demon had always been most unwilling to face. However, now that Lin Yuan had asked, the Void Shadow Demon had to answer. It had to be as detailed as possible. Master, the Abyss demons have always been strong and tall. Muscles, size, and scales are the charm of male demons. It's very difficult for a short, muscular, and scaled demon like me to attract the attention of the Lord Apostles in the Abyss world. I also don't dare to appear under the Lord Apostles' eyelids. Every time the Lord Apostles go out, I have to hide in the shadows, afraid that I will dirty the Lord Apostles' eyes and be executed. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Demon's words, Lin Yuan was speechless. At the same time, he felt a little embarrassed. Wasn't this equivalent to exposing the Void Shadow Demon's scars? To be honest, Lin Yuan did not expect the Abyss demons to actually care so much about appearance. They cared about appearance in such a special way. It turned out that the larger the body and the more bulging the muscles of the male demons, the more attractive they were. On the contrary, in Lin Yuan's opinion, the Void Shadow Demon's figure was more pleasing to the eye than those huge horned terror demons and bone terror demons. The Void Shadow Demon's well-proportioned figure was undoubtedly more human-like. Lin Yuan reached out to support the Void Shadow Demon and prepared to help it up from the ground. Upon seeing Lin Yuan reach out to it, the Void Shadow Demon hurriedly released all its strength and let Lin Yuan play with its body as he pleased. It was afraid that its strength would go against Lin Yuan's strength and make him feel that it was resisting. Moreover, the Void Shadow Demon's heart was pounding. He wondered if his answer had angered Lin Yuan and was prepared to punish him. Immediately after, the Void Shadow Demon realized that Lin Yuan was actually trying to help it up from the ground. A strange emotion suddenly appeared in the Void Shadow Demon's heart. Before the Void Shadow Demon could express its gratitude, Lin Yuan said, "Thank you. Do you want your life level to transform?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Demon subconsciously nodded. Surprise and joy filled the Void Shadow Demon's face, making its ferocious face look a little silly. "Master, do you mean to accept me as a believer and transform me into one?" I sensed Master's control over the power of faith. So Master really is the apostle. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Devil's words, Lin Yuan rubbed his nose. What was this all about? He wasn't an apostle, but he could use source-type powers to baptize dimensional creatures and create apostles. Lin Yuan didn't explain the Void Shadow Demon's misunderstanding. Instead, he denied it. "I can't turn you into an apostle." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Devil felt as though it had fallen from the clouds to hell. The Void Shadow Devil had never thought that it could become an apostle. To be fortunate enough to become an apostle's believer was the Void Shadow Devil's lifelong pursuit. However, the Void Shadow Devil's guess and Lin Yuan's words gave the Void Shadow Devil hope and greed in that instant. Before the Void Shadow Devil could savor the taste of hope and greed, the hope and greed that had just been born was shattered by Lin Yuan's words. Even though it heard the sound of hope being shattered, the Void Shadow Devil didn't dare to show the slightest bit of disappointment. At that moment, the Void Shadow Devil heard Lin Yuan's words change. Although I can't transform you into an apostle, I can make you an apostle. After saying that, Lin Yuan used the Imperial Princess Luo Kun's Source-type powers and gathered 100 Source-type powers in his palm. When the Void Shadow Demon heard the second half of the sentence, it could not believe its ears. It raised its head in a daze. Just as it was about to ask Lin Yuan if it had heard wrongly, the Abyss Shadow Demon's gaze focused on the pure source power emitting an amber luster in Lin Yuan's palm. When the Void Shadow Demon saw this pure source energy, it opened its mouth wide, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Immediately after, the Void Shadow Devil, which had just been helped up by Lin Yuan, felt its knees go soft again. It trembled as it knelt on the ground and spoke absent-mindedly. Lord Sovereign. Upon hearing how the Void Shadow Demon addressed him, Lin Yuan immediately realized that the Void Shadow Demon should know something that he had not come into contact with before. After all, his knowledge of the dimensional world came from a level 6 Medusa demon. The dimensional world of a level 6 Medusa demon was obviously incomparable to the dimensional world of a level 11 8th Tribulation Void Shadow Fiend. Even if the Swamp World and the Abyss World were not in the same dimension. If the Void Shadow Demon that was kneeling on the ground absent-mindedly was said to have fallen from the clouds to hell. At this moment, the Void Shadow Devil had climbed from hell to heaven above the clouds. In the past, the Void Shadow Devil did not even dare to have extravagant hopes of becoming a favored believer. Naturally, it did not dare to have extravagant hopes of becoming an apostle. However, the pure source power flashing in Lin Yuan's hand could not be deceived. At this moment, the Void Shadow Devil had already determined in its heart that Lin Yuan was a sovereign. The Void Shadow Devil had not come into contact with a sovereign before, but it knew that the horned demon envoy that had previously ruled it was loyal to an Abyss sovereign. Therefore, the Void Shadow Devil had heard of the Abyss Sovereign's power. Although the Void Shadow Devil had not heard that the Abyss Sovereign could directly promote an ordinary demon to an apostle, it had heard that the Abyss Sovereign had indeed grasped pure source power. In the Void Shadow Devil's understanding, only the Abyss Sovereign that ruled over the apostles could directly transform an ordinary demon into an apostle. Lin Yuan remembered the term sovereign that the Void Shadow Devil mentioned in his heart. A life form at the level of a sovereign was obviously not something that he could come into contact with at present. The Void Shadow Devil's current power had already reached the limit of a creation breed. Presumably, the Abyss Sovereign's strength was at least an immortal breed existence. For the current Lin Yuan, this level of power was an existence that he could only look up to. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:10. Since he could scare a Void Shadow Fiend with his strength, it was very likely that he would be recognized as a ruler by other dimensional creatures when he used pure source-type power in the Abyss. In fact, Lin Yuan had thought of letting Genius use its exclusive skill, Interconnected Tail, on the Void Shadow Fiend. Through the interconnection tail, he gained a deeper understanding of the Abyss world by understanding the knowledge in the mind of the Void Shadow Fiend. However, when Genius used the interconnected tail on the Class 6 Medusa Demon-scaled concubine, even if the Lin concubine did not resist and was in a completely obedient state. Even so, it still caused quite a bit of pressure on the soul of Genius. At that time, Lin Yuan knew that when the interconnection tail connected to a powerful life form, even if the powerful life form had no intention of resisting, it would still cause a burden on the intelligent soul. When Genius used the interconnected tail on the Class 6 Medusa, it was only a silver I/fantasy I Fey. But now that Genius had advanced to Diamond I/fantasy I, its strength had taken a qualitative leap. But to a level 11 8th Tribulation Void Shadow Fiend, it was still far from enough. However, now that Genius was using the interconnection tail to connect to the Class 6 Medusa Demon, Lin Ji, it would be abnormally easy. Her soul wouldn't feel any pressure either. At this time, the Void Shadow Demon, who had regained his senses, banged his head on the ground. "Lord Juggernaut, I want to become an apostle." The Void Shadow Demon's body trembled faintly under the impact of the huge surprise, but his words were incomparably firm. There was even a hint of longing in his eyes. Lin Yuan looked at the Void Shadow Demon kneeling on the ground helplessly and hurriedly pulled it up from the ground. "In the future, you don't have to kneel on the ground at my place. Since you're by my side and in my shadow, why don't I call you Ing from now on? Do you remember the mission I gave you before? I want you to protect Zhou Luo and everyone else during the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. If you can do it, after the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, I will let you transform into an apostle." The Nothingness Shadow Demon said firmly. "Master, don't worry. I've already vaguely touched the threshold of a level 12-dimensional creature. When facing an enemy whose strength is equivalent to a level 11 5th Tribulation, I only need to hide in the target's shadow and end the enemy's life with one blow. Void Shadow Fiends don't have large bodies, nor do they have scales. Their defensive abilities are at the bottom of abyssal demons. However, even shield demons of the same level cannot defend against Void Shadow Fiends' attacks." After saying that, the Void Shadow Demon clenched its claws, and its sharp, pitch-black nails flashed with a frightening cold light. To the Void Shadow Demon, this was the first mission that Lin Yuan had assigned to it, and it was also related to its future. The Void Shadow Demon planned to use all his strength to deal with this. Even though Lin Yuan did not say what would happen if he failed even such a mission, it would be a different story. Even if Lin Yuan forgave him, he would still use pure source power to baptize him and make him an apostle. The Void Shadow Demon was too embarrassed to accept it. Lin Yuan patted the Void Shadow Demon's shoulder and said, "Once you leave this place, do not mention anything about the Spirit Lock spatial zone to anyone. Go find Wen Yu and have her measure your figure. Ask her to make you a set of Sky City's uniform." After saying that, he handed a diamond face storage box and a mask to the Void Shadow Demon. This mask was the one that represented Sky City's identity. After the Void Shadow Demon borrowed the items, Lin Yuan left the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the Void Shadow Demon. Ever since the Night Ruler's assembly, Lin Yuan had never stopped working. The continuous matters made Lin Yuan feel physically and mentally exhausted. Before the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, Lin Yuan no longer planned to be busy with anything. For the next 2 days, Lin Yuan wanted to have a good rest and relax his body and mind. Tomorrow night, which was the night before the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, he would go to the Spirit Lock spatial zone to see how Red Thorn would transform after devouring the 2 source seeds and the seed with the immortal aura. After leaving the Spirit Lock spatial zone, the Void Shadow Demon immediately listened to Lin Yuan's instructions and went out to find Wen Yu to make clothes. Lin Yuan usually bathed in the shower, but this time, he had a rare and comfortable soak in the bathtub. After the bath, Lin Yuan wrapped a towel around himself and lay on the bed, snoring loudly. In the middle of the night, a shadow sneaked in from the crack of the door and quietly blended into the shadow on Lin Yuan's bedsheet. The dancing shadow was like a guard guarding Lin Yuan's sleeping face. On the next day, Lin Yuan became a complete otaku. After waking up on time and eating breakfast, Lin Yuan returned to his room to sleep again. In the afternoon, he brought Genius out and leisurely chose another 50 questions beasts. Almost the entire Star Web was paying close attention to the Blood Oath Extreme Battle between Sky City and the Zheng family. Even some of the top forces were paying attention to this blood oath extreme battle because of the Miao family behind the Zheng family. However, Lin Yuan's side acted as though nothing had happened. It was as though the Zheng family's blood oath extreme battle tomorrow was not his faction. After returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan heard Lu Jie's voice. Lin Yuan, the Zheng family has changed the report of the blood oath fighters. The pressure you asked me to put on the Zheng family is effective. Apart from Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan has also joined the Zheng family's blood oath extreme battle team. In terms of strength, Lu Yenshan is slightly stronger than Han Tianhe. As he spoke, a hint of schadenfreude appeared in Lu Jie's eyes. This was very rare for Lu Jie, who had always been steady. In Lu Jie's opinion, it was fine if the Zheng family was courting death. That was an accumulated enmity between the Zheng family and Sky City. Although the Miao family in Sky City had also had conflicts because of the Du Immortal Garden, there was no open conflict after all. Regardless of the reason, the Miao family head had asked Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan to take action. The head of the Miao family had clearly decided to destroy Sky Castle. Since Miao Zhenshan had the intention to kill, he had to pay the price for it. He did not know how Miao Zhenshan and the entire Miao family's beast creation garden would react after Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan died in the blood oath extreme battle. Previously, the Du Immortal Garden had been on the chopping block because of the internal conflict, and the Miao family had been on the chopping block. Now that the Miao family had lost 2 Emperor-class experts, how much more would they be on the chopping block? Upon hearing Lu Jie's words, Lin Yuan was rather excited. When Wen Yu had checked the Miao family's biography, there was information on Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan. Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan could be said to have contributed to the Miao family's development to this day. Although their surnames were not Miao, their combined contributions to the Miao family were not inferior to Miao Zhenshan's contributions to the Miao family. The Miao family would be in pain if such 2 people died. However, only pain would teach them a lesson. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:11. Thanks to True Data, Wendy's dimensional life form had been upgraded to Class 4. Her head was no longer as bald as before. Instead, it was covered with snake hair. A Medusa with snake hair would make people feel beautiful and ferocious at a glance. However, even if Wendy had snake hair, she still looked as soft and cute as before. When Shiting approached Lin Yuan, Wendy, who was a Medusa, turned into a small snake and burrowed into Lin Yuan's arms. Then, she turned into a human form and hugged him affectionately. Shiting also wanted to get closer to Lin Yuan and nudge him with his big head. However, when he thought about how Lin Yuan was not even as big as his head after his evolution. Even if he nudged lightly, he might very well flip Lin Yuan over. Thinking of this, Shiting, who had been peeking his head and tail, dispelled the intimate action with Lin Yuan. Looking at Shiting, Lin Yuan could not help but click his tongue. The intensity of Shiting's power of faith did not increase much. After all, the improvement of an apostle's power of faith was not something that could be done overnight. However, Shiting's strength had increased by 1 level in a short time. It had increased from its original Class 6 to Class 7. Wasn't this strength improvement speed too terrifying? How did Shiting do it? What exactly happened in the swamp world during the time he was not there? While Lin Yuan was thinking, Wendy, who was in his arms, said softly, "Dad, I've absorbed half of the poison in the swamp world." "Dad, I've already absorbed half of the poison in the snake eagle's heart." "Dad, I've absorbed half of the poison in the swamp snake vulture's heart." The last time Father left the dimensional world, swamp water moss brought Wendy to the nest of the water-drinking snake vultures. Wendy rescued 29 Medusa aunties from the swamp snake vulture's nest. They're now following Mom to attract the marsh crocodiles at the edge of the swamp. Wendy doesn't intend to accept those Medusa aunties as believers. To Wendy, accepting predatory plants as believers is the best choice. Wendy left those Medusa aunties to Shiteng. In just a few days, the gathering of the Medusa demon aunties has attracted a lot of giant Medusa lizards. The Medusa monitor lizards attracted by the Medusa aunties have all been eaten by Shiteng. Wendy blinked her big eyes and seriously recounted what had happened in the swamp world during Lin Yuan's absence. Upon hearing Wendy's story, Lin Yuan could not help but be speechless for a moment. This was the reason Shiteng's rapid increase in strength. The giant Medusa lizards that instinctively followed the aura of the Medusa snake demon and rushed over to be a bootlicker were too pitiful. Was the behavior of these Medusa demons in his territory a scam? But this immortal dance was very good. Lin Yuan did not expect that there would be such benefits when so many Medusa demons gathered together. Medusa love, Medusa Medusa, 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 and Medusa Medusa Medusa, Medusa Medusa, and the Medusa, Medusa 2, Medusa, 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 and the class. Medusa Medusa, I, and 1 die, Medusa, you to Medusa demon, and Dong. The Medusa you Yao had you had, the was, they had, Medusa, had, and you, Methas. As Shiteng had taken in the Medusas as his followers, which was beneficial to the construction of his territory. Lin Yuan was very supportive of this. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Wendy, who was in his arms, say softly, "Dad, Wendy doesn't have as many believers as Shiteng, but Wendy is still one step ahead of him. Shiteng only has one favored believer and 4 believers, but Wendy already has a second favored believer." Upon hearing Wendy's words, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that something was wrong. What kind of address was Dad? Lin Yuan did not think there was anything wrong with Wendy calling him Dad. However, Wendy had just called him Dad and the class 6 Medusa scaled concubine, Mom. Something was wrong. Wasn't this the same as forcefully pairing him with the scaled concubine? He wondered if the Lin concubine would agree. However, even if the Lin concubine agreed, Lin Yuan would not agree. Lin Yuan did not correct Wendy even though the words were at the tip of his tongue. A child's words carried no harm. Wendy called him father because he and Wendy had formed a contract. Wendy could feel a sense of closeness and peace of mind. In a child's world, the people closest to peace of mind were often their parents. Lin Yuan said as he rubbed Wendy's little head. At that moment, Lu Tong had already led 34 spirit craftsmen to stand neatly in front of Lin Yuan. These spirit craftsmen all looked tired, and it was unknown how long it had been since they had a good rest. Moreover, these spirit craftsmen were all covered in dust and looked very wretched. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. Lin Yuan looked at the 34 spirit craftsmen behind Lu Tong and said in a clear voice, "Everyone has worked hard during this period. The construction of the swamp world cannot be completed in a day. Rest well when it's time to rest." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, one of the spirit craftsmen replied, "Young master, is it convenient for you to bring Phase to this place? I want to sign a contract with a vitality sloth. With a vitality sloth, I don't need to delay my work because of sleeping." This spirit craftsman's words were quickly responded by many spirit craftsmen. Upon hearing the voices of these vitality sloths working hard, a warm current gushed out from Lin Yuan's heart. These spirit craftsmen had responded without asking anything after hearing that he was going to live in seclusion. Now, they were working hard for him. These spirit craftsmen belonged to Hu Quan's Heavenly Craft Pavilion, and Hu Quan was a member of Sky City. These spirit craftsmen also belonged to Sky City subordinates. Lin Yuan had no reason to be stingy with these Sky City subordinates who were working hard for him. After clearing his throat, Lin Yuan looked at everyone and said seriously, "If you want a vitality sloth, report to Lu Tong. If you want the vitality sloth, report it to Lu Tong. I will bring the vitality sloth to you very soon. In addition, I heard from Hu Quan that the 34 of you can contract new phase, and a few of you have comprehended willpower runes. You just haven't found a suitable fei to contract. It just so happens that when you report the vitality sloth to Lu Tong, each of you can also report a fei of any species. When I bring you the vitality sloth, each of you will obtain a bronze/epic fei based on the fei species you reported." Lin Yuan's voice was powerful and loud, exploding in the ears of the 34 spirit craftsmen. Chapter 11-12. To these Class 2 and Class 3 spirit craftsmen, bronze/epic phase had always been extravagant hopes. Even after Hu Quan became a Class 4 spirit craftsman, he needed to take out all his savings to find a bronze/epic wood weaving house centipede. Moreover, if he wanted to obtain a bronze/epic wood weaving house centipede, he had to try his luck as much as possible. Only if one's luck was good would they be able to exchange for it. This showed how precious and rare bronze/epic phase were to Class 2 and Class 3 spirit craftsmen. To be honest, these spirit craftsmen would work so hard for Lin Yuan. It was indeed related to Lin Yuan's promise previously, but it was not entirely because of Lin Yuan's promise. If it was really for benefits, these 34 spirit craftsmen would not have responded immediately after learning about the seclusion. Lin Yuan had mentioned a bronze/epic fei previously, which made the 34 spirit craftsmen yearn for it. However, no one expected that in just a few days, their dreams would come true. Lin Yuan did not give ready-made bronze/epic feis but allowed them to freely customize them. A custom-made bronze/epic fei was different from a ready-made bronze/epic fei. Based on Lin Yuan's words, it seemed like they would be able to obtain the custom-made feis in 1 or 2 days. After these 2 and 3-star spirit craftsmen joined the Heavenly Craft Pavilion, they had been learning spirit craftsmanship skills from Hu Quan. There was no chance or time to learn more about Sky City. However, Lin Yuan's reward made the 34 spirit craftsmen clearly realize what kind of colossus the Sky City behind them was. He was actually able to nurture bronze/epic feis in batches in just a few days. A gentleman would die for a bosom friend. There were very few people in the world who would sacrifice for no reason. You should always ask for something in return. These spirit craftsmen, who had just put in a lot of effort and were rewarded, were already full of vigor. He was prepared to be more diligent and use higher quality work to repay Lin Yuan. Lu Tong was a smart person. When he heard that Lin Yuan had rewarded 34 spirit craftsmen with bronze/epic feis, he was the only one not mentioned. Lu Tong knew that there would be an even greater reward waiting for him. Sure enough, Lu Tong saw Lin Yuan turn to look at him. "Lu Tong, it's been hard on you to help manage it all this time. You relied on the vitality sloth to work day and night." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Tong's dry eyes could not help but become a little moist because he had not closed his eyes for a long time. Lu Tong knew that he was just a small character. In the past, when Lu Tong joined Hu Quan's team, other than diligently working and studying, he didn't seem to have much of a talent. He had been trying his best to leave a good impression on Hu Quan. Later, he had unexpectedly struck up a conversation with Lin Yuan at the back mountain of the Return from Faraway Manor. That was Lu Tong and Lin Yuan's first conversation. Lu Tong had never expected that the noble Lin Yuan would actually remember his name after listening to his self-introduction. This made Lu Tong feel a sense of respect. Since Lin Yuan remembered his name, it meant that he had placed him on an equal footing. Lin Yuan's sincere gratitude gave Lu Tong the feeling of a gentleman dying for a bosom friend. Just as Lu Tong was about to answer, he heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. "I remember the last time I spoke to you, you said that you comprehended a willpower rune 2 years ago, but you have not been able to contract a suitable Fey. In that case, when you are done counting the bronze/epic Feys that they need, report your own. I will provide you with a bronze/legend Fey according to your request. Work hard. I have high hopes for you. Lin Yuan's words exploded in Lu Tong's heart, making him feel as though the ground under his feet had become soft. Even though he had contracted the vitality sloth, Lu Tong was still mentally fatigued from working for a long time. He felt as though he was dreaming. Lin Yuan did not hide his special treatment for Lu Tong from the other spirit craftsmen. While this behavior allowed Lin Yuan to show off his muscles, it also told the other spirit craftsmen that hard work would yield results. After looking at the territory's environment that needed development, Lin Yuan said to Lu Tong and the spirit craftsmen behind him, "Everyone has contracted the vitality sloth. Everyone has contracted the vitality sloth. From now on, we only need to sleep for 2 to 3 hours a day. However, the remaining time cannot be used for work. You can divide an area in the territory and plant some of your favorite spirit fruits and good-looking spirit plants. Or dig a pond to raise some ornamental fish Feys. This land is so big, and each of you can build a small house in the planned area. I will arrange for creation masters to be stationed in the breeding room that you worked through the night and set up a guard at the entrance. If you have any needs in the future, you can speak to the guard directly. The creation masters in the breeding room will help you with your development needs in the territory. Therefore, if you want to decorate the territory with spirit plants, delicious spirit fruits, and ornamental Feys, you can speak to the guard directly. You will be in seclusion for a long time. During this period, if you can treat this place as your home, you might have a sense of belonging and identity with this place." Lin Yuan's reward was equivalent to giving these spirit craftsmen a goal and motivation to work hard. Now, Lin Yuan's words were equivalent to lighting up these spirit craftsmen's lives. Spirit craftsmen were a group of creative people. At that moment, these spirit craftsmen were already looking forward to the paradise that Lin Yuan had mentioned. After all, no one did not want to live in a paradise. What Lin Yuan had just said was actually what he had always thought and planned for the swamp world. As the swamp world continued to develop, his territory would also continue to expand. He would come into contact with more and more swamp world's local factions and even other federations that entered the swamp world through the Class 6 swamp dimensional rift. Only the strong would be respected. Therefore, his territory in the swamp world would only become colder and colder to outsiders. However, when it came to his own people, Lin Yuan hoped that they could live in a peaceful and stable paradise. After chatting with Lu Tong for a while, Lin Yuan and Wendy rode on Shiteng. Shiteng took Lin Yuan and Wendy toward the edge of the swamp. At the thought of his group of Medusa demons, it was very likely that they would trick a few Medusa monitor lizards for him. Shiteng's eyes lit up like a husky as it quickened its pace. Previously, when Lin Yuan was sitting on Shiteng's back, he could still see the black soil under Shiteng's feet. Now that Shiteng's grade had been promoted to Class 7, Lin Yuan's vision was blocked by Shiteng's wide back. Lin Yuan estimated that Shiteng's body length could reach at least an astonishing 45 meters. ABC. Chapter 11-13. However, the front and end of the tongue of Relinquish were very incompatible. The front end of the tongue of Relinquish was a purplish-green tongue tip that was nearly 30 centimeters long. Lin Yuan's pupils shrank when he saw the purplish-green tongue tip. He realized that the purplish-green tongue tip was covered with densely packed scars. These scars were the same as the scars that had appeared on Ji Feng and himself. The changes on the tongue of Relinquish must have been bestowed upon Red Thorn after it had devoured that strange plant seed. After the tongue of Relinquish emerged, a scene that made Lin Yuan's scalp tingle appeared. Even more fine cracks appeared on the mouth of Relinquish as it expanded even more violently. These cracks instantly opened, and 180 blinking eyes of relinquish appeared on the surface of the mouth of relinquish at the same time. Lin Yuan did not have trypophobia, but when he saw the 60 eyes of relinquish on the mouth of relinquish surface, he still felt his hair stand on end. In particular, the eyeballs of the eyes of relinquish would also move when it blinked. Looking at the 180 eyes of relinquish would cause a deep discomfort in one's heart. However, when Lin Yuan saw these 180 sinister eyes of relinquish, he was incomparably happy. After the mouth of relinquish had split into 3, the eyes of relinquish had also increased by 3 times. If Red Thorn wanted to start a battle with the 180 eyes of relinquish, the consumption of the 180 eyes of relinquish would be enough for Red Thorn to instantly bloom with a sea of flowers within a radius of 18 kilometers. In addition to being able to store flesh energy to launch attacks, Red Thorn's eyes of relinquish was also its strongest attack method. The increase in the number of eyes of relinquish also indicated that Red Thorn's attack power would increase. Even if that was not the case, so many eyes of relinquish could also increase the speed at which the blood brew grapevines produced blood brew grapes, allowing the mother of bloodbath to quickly reach myth 3. At that moment, Red Thorn, which had been sleeping in midair, had quietly spread its body. Just when Lin Yuan thought that the mouth of relinquish transformation was about to end, Lin Yuan saw a total of 36 red gill-shaped flowers quietly bloom in the center of the 3 mouths of relinquish that were surrounded by tough pipes. The 36 gill-shaped flowers, which were nearly 1 meter in diameter, spread out in 4 strange and magnificent flower walls in the center of the 3 mouths of relinquish. At the same time, 2 long vines grew out from the top of the flower wall. The 2 vines overlapped with each other and were covered with dark red flowers. As the vines swayed, it was like a dreamy swing surrounded by a sea of flowers. At this moment, Red Thorn opened its eyes. Red Thorn opened its eyes and looked straight at Lin Yuan. It didn't bother about the silver splendor and zither that were circling around it. A sweet voice came out of Red Thorn's mouth. Lin Yuan, Red Thorn has been sleeping for a long time. I can sense that Lin Yuan is always by Red Thorn's side. But Red Thorn can't wake up and can't touch Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan extended his finger and let Red Thorn land on his hand. Lin Yuan felt that Red Thorn had the aura of a royal sister and a queen, but he didn't expect Red Thorn's voice to be so sweet. Just like a little girl of 8 or 9 years old. After Red Thorn landed on Lin Yuan's fingertip, it shook its hair, and a dark green, glossy vine grew out of its hair. The smooth vines wrapped around Lin Yuan's wrist like before. However, Red Thorn was no longer the cumbersome predatory plant. It was now a fairy source-type life form with 3 pairs of wings. It was also the most noble existence among all the known fairies with their bloodlines. Just as Lin Yuan was about to reply to Red Thorn, he suddenly thought of something and thought, not good. It turned out that he had been neglecting the acid corrosion queen bee. When Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish had been metamorphosing, the acid corrosion queen bee had been in its hive. From the start of the metamorphosis, the mouth of relinquish had been completely sealed, and the acid corrosion queen bee had been locked in the mouth of relinquish. Now that Red Thorn had completed its metamorphosis, the acid corrosion queen bee had yet to come out of the mouth of relinquish. The acid corrosion queen bee couldn't have been digested by the mouth of relinquish, right? However, it was impossible. The acid corrosion queen bee was now a Diamond X source-type life form. It was impossible for the mouth of relinquish to digest it so easily. Lin Yuan hurriedly asked Red Thorn. Red Thorn, is the acid corrosion queen bee still in the mouth of relinquish? Upon hearing that, Red Thorn's cherry lips pouted gently and shook its small head. The acid corrosion queen bee isn't in the mouth of relinquish. I locked it in the spore cavity before it evolved. The spore cavity is now at the bottom of the plant and has been protected. Just as Red Thorn finished speaking, a few gluttonous vines that were half a meter thick emerged from the ground and lifted Red Thorn's body. Only then did the acid corrosion queen bee escape from red thorn's spore cavity. After escaping, the acid corrosion queen bee pounced at red thorn like a bootlicker. When the acid corrosion queen bee pounced in front of red thorn, Lin Yuan heard red thorn speak indifferently. "Stay away from me. Your house has already been torn apart when the mouth of relinquish was evolving. Now, you can choose a mouth of relinquish and build a hive in it. If you perform well in the future, I might allow you to build another hive in the other 2 mouths of relinquish. I'll also open a channel connecting the 3 hives for you." Upon hearing red thorn speak to the acid corrosion queen bee, Lin Yuan was simply shocked. The voice that red thorn spoke to the acid corrosion queen bee was completely different from the voice that it spoke to him. When red thorn spoke to him, its voice was clear and sweet, but when it spoke to the acid corrosion queen bee, it was completely domineering. Moreover, its attitude was high and mighty, just like a queen giving orders to her subjects. Lin Yuan did not expect red thorn to actually be a big shot that could change its voice. This ability to change its voice was simply amazing. What Lin Yuan did not expect was that the acid corrosion queen bee was not upset by red thorn's cold treatment. Instead, it was happily flying in the air like a child. It was as though it was a great gift for red thorn to say a word to him. The acid corrosion queen bee was about to say goodbye to Lin Yuan and return to the mouth of relinquish to build a new house for itself. However, just as the acid corrosion queen bee flew to Lin Yuan's shoulder, 2 spiky vines that were like spirit snakes quickly emerged from red thorn's long hair and attacked the acid corrosion queen bee. Upon seeing red thorn attack it, the acid corrosion queen bee did not dodge but took the hit excitedly. After being hit by red thorn's 2 vines, the acid corrosion queen bee seemed even happier. It stared at the vines that emerged from red thorn's hair as though it was looking at some treasure. Seeing this scene, Yin Hua hurriedly brought Jin Sei to a stop. From red thorn's behavior, Yin Hua could see its affection and possessiveness toward Lin Yuan. Red thorn had just awakened, and it was obviously not a good time to establish a friendship with it. End of this chapter. Chapter 11-14. Looking at the turbulent swamp, Lin Yuan could be sure that the thing in the swamp would not be smaller than a newly hatched island whale. A newly hatched island whale was already 500 meters long. As it grew stronger, its body length would reach a shocking 3,000 meters. Immediately after, Lin Yuan saw hundreds of leafy branches protruding out of the water, causing the marsh crocodiles to be in chaos. The scaled concubine hurriedly increased the chanting speed of the swamp crocodile song, and only then did the swamp group calm down. He looked at the thick grayish-green branches full of twisted leaves in the depths of the swamp and used Morbius True Data. Exotic beast name, Water Demon Fu Lu, life form, dimensional creature, blessed believer, exotic beast level, for, totem faith, triflower snake pupil totem innate skills frowny face excessive growth. With sufficient energy, it can grow branches without limit, and it can choose to cut off the overgrown branches. The energy within the branches will solidify and become stronger than the original body. Lin Yuan could not help but raise his eyebrows when he saw Water Demon Fu Lu's true data. Based on the swamp's turbulent range, Lin Yuan could infer that the Water Devil Fu Lu was very large. However, he could not detect its true size just by looking at its branches extending out of the swamp. The innate ability of Fu Lu Willow was completely determined by the size of its body. The bigger the water devil Fu Lu was, the higher the value of its innate talent, the higher the value of its talent. When the Fu Willow reached a certain size, it would be able to split its branches according to its innate talent. It could easily build a large infrastructure underwater with its branches. This opened up the situation for the territory's construction in the swamp. However, if the water demon supporting willow was small in size, its main branches would not be strong enough. It was something that was built by relying on one's innate talent. It could only be treated as an ordinary model. Not only was it worthless, but it was also equivalent to creating a huge pile of underwater trash within the territory. Just as he was about to jump into this dirty swamp filled with swamp crocodiles and see the water demon Fu lose true size with his own eyes, the Lin Ji could not help but say to Lin Yuan, "Sir, there's a special white swamp crocodile there that won't be controlled by my swamp crocodile song." Originally, this white swamp crocodile was attracted by the large amount of blood that my sisters and I poured into the swamp. But now, this pure white swamp crocodile realized that there was nothing left to eat and is preparing to leave. Following the direction of the scaled concubine's finger, Lin Yuan noticed a 7-meter-long pure white swamp crocodile. This swamp crocodile's white was not the milky white of an albino, but a pure white that looked very holy. There was a cold glimmer in the pure white, which made this swamp crocodile in the pure white swamp look extraordinarily majestic. Lin Yuan immediately used true data to check on this pure white marsh crocodile. Exotic beast name, swamp white crocodile, life form, dimensional creature, exotic beast level, 2 level innate skills frowny face worship of crocodiles. Even if you openly steal other marsh crocodiles' food, you will not be attacked by other marsh crocodiles, and your aura will gain the other marsh crocodiles' goodwill. Moreover, the more the marsh crocodiles sense your aura, the more goodwill they will have. The goodwill in their mouths will turn into worship, and you can attract a large number of marsh crocodiles. After checking, Lin Yuan was abnormally surprised. This pure white marsh crocodile was called the swamp white crocodile. Based on its name, Lin Yuan could confirm that the swamp white crocodile still belonged to the category of marsh crocodiles. However, in the main world's information about the swamp world, there was never any information about the swamp white crocodile. When Lin Yuan saw this 7-meter-long swamp white crocodile, he subconsciously thought that this swamp white crocodile was at least class 6. After all, a marsh crocodile's grade was usually determined by its body size. However, this swamp white crocodile was clearly only class 2 and considered a juvenile, but its body length was at least 7 meters. It was enough to imagine how massive the swamp white crocodile would be when it grew up. Including its tail, Shiteng's 40-meter-long body was already like a moving mountain of flesh. When this swamp white crocodile grew to class 7 like Shiteng, Lin Yuan estimated that its body length would be at least 100 meters. In fact, it would be even larger. Through checking true data, Lin Yuan also knew why this special class 2 swamp white crocodile would not be attacked by a huge group of swamp white crocodiles. High-grade swamp white crocodiles that were pregnant had an instinctive aversion to juvenile crocodiles that were not related to them by blood. They would habitually kill juvenile crocodiles to fight for a bigger living space for their offspring. Swamp white crocodiles were dimensional lifeforms that were very productive. It was impossible for such a huge group of crocodiles to not have any swamp white crocodiles that were pregnant. This swamp white crocodile would not be attacked by the crocodiles precisely because of its special talent and the swamp white crocodile's worship. From the moment Lin Yuan saw the swamp white crocodile's worship, he was certain that this swamp white crocodile must have an extraordinary origin. The swamp world was full of dangers, and hunting was often accompanied by risks. Therefore, dimensional lifeforms had the habit of protecting their food. The swamp white crocodile's worship didn't just rob other swamp white crocodiles' food, it would not be attacked. Even its aura would attract other swamp white crocodiles, causing them to have a favorable impression of it. In fact, after other swamp white crocodiles sensed its aura, their favorable impression of it would turn into worship. This exclusive skill allowed the swamp white crocodile to easily gather a group of swamp white crocodile guards in the swamp. Due to the faith provided by the swamp white crocodiles due to worship, it would naturally transform into an apostle. If a favored spirit was a life form that was favored by the main world, this swamp white crocodile could be said to be a life form that was favored by the swamp world. Lin Yuan naturally would not let such a dimensional life form escape for nothing. Lin Yuan said to the Lin concubine, who was waiting for him to make a decision. Lin concubine, continue singing the Swamp White Crocodile song. Immediately after, Lin Yuan instructed the Void Shadow Demon in his shadow. Shadow, after you capture and play with the Swamp White Crocodile. Once the other Swamp White Crocodiles riot, kill them all. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, a shadow scuttled out of Lin Yuan's shadow. This shadow instantly dragged the Swamp White Crocodile, which was about to swim away, to the surface. The Swamp White Crocodile, which was about to struggle, was quickly wrapped up by the rapidly growing swamp water moss, and it was unable to move. At that moment, all the Swamp White Crocodiles in the swamp entered a frenzied state. The Swamp White Crocodile song sung by the Lin concubine no longer had any effect on these Swamp White Crocodiles. End of this chapter. Chapter 11-15. Fey name, Red Thorn, Six-Winged Demon, Thousand Eyes Sacrificial Offering, Spirit Species, Vine Subspecies/Fairy Species, Fey Grade, Silver, 1 out of 10, Fey Type, Source/Wood, Fey Quality, Fantasy V Skills Frowny Face Mouth of Relinquish, secretes an exuberant digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can quickly digest the energy in food. The tongues of Relinquish in the mouth increase the speed of digestion by several times and can secrete various acids from the flesh and blood that it has consumed. At the same time, when the 3 tongues of Relinquish pierce into the target's body, they can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, the tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to remain alive. Carnivorous vines, vines filled with digestive juices and sharp teeth growing on the inside of the vines can feed on flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of Relinquish, an eye formed through the consumption of flesh energy. Every eye contains a large amount of flesh energy. When the number of eyes of Relinquish on the mouth of Relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of Relinquish can only store energy. When the number of eyes of Relinquish exceeds 60, the eyes of Relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of Relinquish and can be turned into an energy ray at any time. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spore Proliferation, the spore cavity spits out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by red thorn or flesh energy to rapidly reproduce and grow child ramets and ramets that are controlled by the mother ramets. Withering, red thorn could quickly absorb the energy from the ground and inject it into the sea of flowers. As long as the roots of child ramets and ramets were left in the ground, the withered sea of flowers would reach its most flourishing state. At a glance, Lin Yuan could not help but look shocked. Lin Yuan had never expected that red thorn's quality would actually reach Fantasy V in that strange plant seed. This was definitely a pleasant surprise for Lin Yuan. How to improve red thorn's quality had always been Lin Yuan's problem, but now, this problem had been quietly solved. After that, as long as red thorn kept devouring flesh and blood, it would be able to evolve into a myth breed. However, there would not be the slightest threshold between them. Now, red thorn was Lin Yuan's fey with the highest quality. At the same time, he finally knew what the purplish-green tip of the tongue of Relinquish's tip was for. It seemed that red thorn had inherited the ability to control living things from that strange plant seed. Furthermore, the front part of the tongue of Relinquish that was covered in scars could not only control living targets, but it could also control dead targets. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who would die at the hands of the Void Shadow Demon after the Blood Oath Extreme duel with the Zheng family tomorrow. Both of them were Emperor-class experts, and if Red Thorn could control them with its tongue of Relinquish after their deaths, it would be much easier to kill them. Then, these two powerful Emperor stage experts would become his puppets. Lin Yuan's eyes immediately lit up. In this way, Sky City would have two more Emperor-level humanoid weapons. In the future, wherever there were difficulties and dangers, these two Emperor-level humanoid weapons would be sent there. After the Blood Oath Extreme battle was completed in the Extreme Arena, everything in the losing faction would be controlled by the other side. Therefore, it was easy for him to obtain Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's bodies. After the Zheng family was defeated, the bodies of Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who represented the Zheng family in the battle, became the private property of Sky City. Even if the Miao family wanted to retrieve Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's bodies, there was nothing they could do. At the thought that the mouth of Relinquish only had 3 relinquished tongues, Lin Yuan asked Red Thorn. Red Thorn, does your tongue of Relinquish have any restrictions on controlling the target? 3 relinquished tongues can only control 3 targets? Red Thorn answered. The tongue of Relinquish controls the target by injecting the tip of the tongue of Relinquish into the target's body. In other words, it's using the parasitic tip of the tongue to control the target's mind and soul. The stronger the spirit and soul of the living target, the harder it is for the tongue of Relinquish to control it. There is also the possibility of failure. But if the target is dead and their spirit and soul have lost their activity, then no matter how strong the target was when they were alive, the tip of the tongue can guarantee 100% control. Based on the tongue's parasitism on the target's spirit and soul, it can also control the target's contracted fey. However, this kind of control has a premise. The premise is that the energy core in the target fey cannot be taken out. In the case of not taking out the energy core, the target can maintain its full strength when it was alive. But if the energy core is taken out, the target's strength can only be reflected in the physical body. Upon hearing Red Thorn's explanation, Lin Yuan clarified the contents of the mouth of Relinquish that were not stated in detail in True Data. If he wanted to maximize the effect of the tongue of Relinquish's front end, Lin Yuan could not dig out the world crystals in Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's 2 main battle spirits. Otherwise, those 2 creation breed phase would only be left with their physical strength, and it would be meaningless to control them. Compared to the 2 world crystals, the 2 Emperor-class humanoid weapons were undoubtedly more tempting to Lin Yuan. It could be said that the ability that Red Thorn had obtained from devouring that strange plant seed had provided Sky City with 3 top experts. It had filled the vacancy of Sky City's experts. It also allowed the Swamp World, the Divine Wood Federation, and the Return from Faraway Manor to have experts guarding them at the same time. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Red Thorn continue to speak. Lin Yuan, although the front end of the tongue of Relinquish can control experts, this control also has a drawback. That is, if the controlled expert is killed, the tip of his tongue will also be destroyed. For the tip of the tongue to regrow, it requires a huge amount of flesh and blood energy, and it will take a long time. Of course, there is a shortcut to let the tip of the tongue grow quickly. You just need to let me use the method of dropping grade to hasten the growth of the tongue of Relinquish. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan hurriedly waved his hand. The advancement of Red Thorn's grade had always been Lin Yuan's biggest headache. Under such circumstances, how could Lin Yuan let Red Thorn use the method of dropping grade to hasten the growth of the tongue of Relinquish? Moreover, Emperor-class experts were not so easy to be killed. Thinking of the enhancement direction that he had chosen for Red Thorn before it went into hibernation, Lin Yuan continued to ask. Red Thorn, when you metamorphosed, you enhanced your devouring and digestive abilities. How is it compared to before when you devoured the flesh of dimensional lifeforms? Red Thorn replied. I can now consume large amounts of Class 4 dimensional lifeforms flesh that are comparable to Platinum phase. End of this chapter. Chapter 11-16. It wouldn't be a problem to occasionally eat some Class 5 dimensional lifeforms flesh that were comparable to Diamond phase. Lin Yuan, the improvement of my devouring and digestive abilities isn't just reflected in devouring dimensional lifeforms flesh. Not only can I devour the flesh and blood of dimensional creatures, but I can also devour metals and spiritual materials. Through digesting metal spirit materials, it obtains a trace of the metal spirit material's characteristics, and attaches this characteristic to the sea of flowers that it spawns. Lin Yuan's eyes flickered, and he immediately took out the ferromanganese that the source sand had spat out after evolving. He took out a piece of ferromanganese and placed it in the mouth of Relinquish. In the end, he found that the ferromanganese had been completely corroded and digested by the mouth of Relinquish's acid in less than 5 minutes. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan could not help but marvel at the mouth of Relinquish's strong digestive ability. Lin Yuan handed a platinum Fey storage box's ferromanganese to Red Thorn. Red Thorn, during this period of time, you can come and eat the ferromanganese here as you see fit. The ferromanganese's metallic properties can make the predator vine stronger, and it can also increase the predator vine's ability to scrape the target's flesh. Upon hearing that, Red Thorn happily accepted the platinum Fey storage box that contained the ferromanganese. Red Thorn was a foodie that wasn't inferior to the princess. As long as it was edible, Red Thorn would like it. Red Thorn flew up and gently pecked Lin Yuan's cheek. Its eyes were pure as it said, "Don't worry. Lin Yuan, the increase in my digestive ability allows me to obtain more characteristics from dimensional lifeforms' flesh. Devouring the flesh and blood of different dimensional lifeforms can rapidly strengthen the acid secreted by the tongue of Relinquish. In the future, Red Thorn won't be as picky as before. Red Thorn will eat whatever it wants." As it spoke, Red Thorn smacked its lips before continuing. "Of course, it will be even better if Lin Yuan can let Red Thorn eat more abyssal demons. The flesh of a demon is the tightest among all dimensional creatures. Its blood has corrosive and withering characteristics. After devouring it, it can increase my lethality against plant species phase, and its corrosive properties can also make it easier for me to digest metallic spiritual ingredients." Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows when he heard that. She had specifically asked for the abyssal demon's flesh and blood, yet she said she wasn't picky. However, it was a piece of cake for Red Thorn to eat the abyssal devil's flesh. The Radiance Federation's Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift was about to open. Wouldn't it be easy to obtain abyssal demon flesh in the future? After staying in the Spirit Lock spatial zone for a while, Lin Yuan hugged Genius and fell asleep. After a dreamless night, Lin Yuan woke up before dawn the next morning. Lin Yuan sighed. "I can't sleep too early either. If he slept too early, he would wake up too early." Seeing that the sky was still dark, Lin Yuan simply sat there and flipped through the biography of Zheng Kaiyan that Wen Yu had prepared for him. Reading Zheng Kaiyan's biography, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that being born in a veteran faction was not necessarily something to be proud of sometimes. He came from a humble background, and if he wanted to rise up in one day, he would be accompanied by many obstacles. However, he would never be held back by his family, or even suppressed or secretly harmed by them. Zheng Kaiyan was intelligent in his early years, but because of his family, he didn't even have the chance to resist and became a cripple. No wonder Zheng Kaiyan was willing to betray his family in order to make a comeback. As he looked at Zheng Kaiyan's biography, Lin Yuan somehow fell into it. At that moment, a knock came from his door. Lin Yuan looked up and suddenly realized that the sky was already bright. Lin Yuan stood up and casually threw Zheng Kaiyan's character journal down. People like Zheng Kaiyan can be used, but they can't be put in an important position. Based on Zheng Kaiyan's character and experience, he has long cultivated Zheng Kaiyan to be as cunning as a bay. If such a person is put in an important position, even if he swears loyalty with a willpower rune, it is very likely that he will have crooked thoughts for his own interests. Therefore, having Zheng Kaiyan guard the Zheng family's territory is already the limit. He had a lot of things to worry about and did not want to spend too much effort on Zheng Kaiyan. It could be said that after reading the biography, Lin Yuan already had an idea on how to treat Zheng Kaiyan. However, whether or not Zheng Kaiyan deserved such treatment would depend on his actual performance. He opened the door and saw Wen Yu, who was standing at the door, handing him 2 sets of spirit qi clothes. When Wen Yu saw Lin Yuan, she said with a smile, "Young master, Pinru and I just decided on the template for this Sky City uniform last night. We also stayed up late to make the Void Shadow Fiend. Both of you try it together." After saying that, Wen Yu handed the uniform made from the Sky City to Lin Yuan and closed the door. Looking at the uniform that Wen Yu handed over, Lin Yuan reached out and scratched his head. However, in a public occasion like the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, it was obviously the most suitable for everyone to wear the Sky City uniform together. Wen Yu had asked him for his opinion on the design of the Sky City uniform. He had casually mentioned the Akatsuki organization's Red Cloud uniform in his previous life. As a result, the Sky City uniform designed by Wen Yu and Lu Pinru was actually a Spirit Qi uniform with a white base and blue clouds embroidered on it. This uniform was designed to be very wide, and the hem could hang directly to the feet. The wide sleeves could completely cover the hands. The collar at the neck was raised high to the tip of the nose. The Sky City's mask would reveal the mouth and chin. If one wore this uniform, the collar and the mask could just cover the face completely. Only when the collar floated could the mouth hidden under the collar be faintly revealed. At the same time, although this uniform looked very wide, it was tailored just right. When designing everyone's uniform, Wen Yu and Lu Pinru had carefully measured the figure. The tailoring of the waist and shoulders made the entire hem have a handsome arc. It could be said that this uniform was very close to Lin Yuan's aesthetic. Lin Yuan found that his uniform was obviously different from the Void Shadow Fiend's. His blue cloud was embroidered with a circle of golden silk. At first, Lin Yuan did not intend to make the uniforms as special as the masks. However, at Wen Yu's insistence, he still embroidered a circle of golden jade silkworm's silk. Under the sunlight, the golden jade silkworm's silk gave the blue cloud a flowing texture. Lin Yuan called out the Void Shadow Fiend from his shadow and handed it the Sky City uniform that belonged to the Void Shadow Fiend. Thus, Lin Yuan and the Void Shadow Fiend put on the uniform and the mask respectively. After putting on the uniform, Lin Yuan looked at the Void Shadow Fiend and then at himself in the mirror. Lin Yuan felt that the Sky City's outfit was much more pretentious than the Akatsuki organization's. The light background color with the blue cloud did not look so abrupt. Button wishes everyone a happy Mid-Autumn National Day. Be careful when traveling during the holidays. The weather is turning cold, wear more clothes. Love you. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.